What's good, my ghouls and goblins? Welcome back to your weekly horror movie podcast, Reely Scared, right here on the Who Are They Entertainment Network. My name's Taylor. I'm your guide on this journey every single week. And hey, we've got a great show for you this week. Really, the biggest one yet. I'm still kind of in awe that we're somehow pulling this off. We've got two guests for you tonight. Alok Mishra, who you may remember from our very first episode of Reely Scared, producer of 1BR, kind of impromptu dropped in on us. I wouldn't even call it an interview. He just kind of came in and distilled some wisdom for us on the art of making movies, and then that was it. But he's been a great friend of the show since. I love seeing him in the chat ever since, and he's coming back tonight, so I'm very excited to talk to him once again. Let's go, Spooky Boys. Thank you, brother Nick Molbach in the chat. Love him. So handsome. Love to see him. But we're not just bringing Alok in. He's bringing a friend of his. He's bringing Naomi Grossman, who did also star in 1BR, but you may most famously know her from not one, not two, but 3 seasons of American Horror Story. So, I mean, you don't really get higher profile than that when it comes to doing a horror movie show. So I'm very excited to be talking to them tonight. They'll be coming in later this evening. That said, can't do this on my own. I never do this on my own. And I got to bring him in. Number one, the top goblin. You know who he is. You know his name, but I'll tell you, it's Connor Breedlove. Oh.
How's it going? Just pouring myself a nice glass of wine. Yeah, I'm very excited for tonight. You know, Alok, like we mentioned, is coming back on. And not only is he a great friend of the show, I think he's a great friend in general. Even if we're not promoting something, he's chatting with us, talking with us. So he's really cool. And I can't believe we got Naomi on this show. That's insane to me. When it was confirmed, my fiance was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, yeah. And we'll be, just. It's going to be an unconventional episode. We'll just be talking about shit. Aliens, I'm sure, are going to pop up at some point. But most importantly, we're going to be talking about Lovecraft Country and the movie Dead Dicks. So I think it's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it, man. I agree. I don't know how, like, 2 bozos like us
land. Not one, but 2 amazing guests.
Yeah, I don't know what we did, but I'm glad we did it. That said, there's always a tradition to the show, always a way to get things started. And until we have our guests comfortable and ready to go, we naturally have to discuss what we've been watching this week.
You kick it off.
Oh, you want me to kick it off?
Yeah, you kick it off. I kick it off every week with what I've been watching. I want to hear what you've been watching.
There's no better way to kick things off than having Breedlove start the show. But I did have some time to watch some things, so I'm glad you pointed over in my direction. As I said I might last week, I had a chance to watch Cursed Films on Shudder. The whole series. Jessica threw it on. She went to sleep, and by the time she'd woken up, I'd watched every single episode.
It's really interesting, right?
It's really good, really, really sad, actually. Which I guess
it's pretty downbeat and kind of melancholy.
Kind of goes hand in hand with the subject matter. I thought an interesting through line whenever they threw away to somebody who was involved in the productions they were talking about. They were always like, "No, we aren't cursed." Stop! Like they were like disrespected by the notion, like people died on our set, or these were real tragedies. Thinking of like Poltergeist or The Crow and stuff like that. They were like. They really rejected the notion of being in a cursed film. But I did find it highly entertaining getting that perspective, that behind-the-scenes look at these famous movies. They were all movies I'd seen before. Most of them are horror movies. I guess all of them are horror movies, really. It was really, really blindsided by the Twilight Zone one. I don't know if you happened to watch that one. But it actually included the footage of that famous helicopter accident, and that really caught me off guard. I really was not prepared to see that day.
The one I've talked about most on this show is the one that like stuck with me the most was the Omen one, because I've never heard of those accidents.
Yeah.
But that one's definitely cursed.
You think so? You think there were some cursed productions in there?
Yeah, how do you have a decapitation, right outside, like right next to a sign where you're shooting, and it's in the town of Omen?
That
Like,
was just poor location scouting.
poor location scouting. Okay.
They were tempting fate with that one, man. Watched that, and I watched not horror related, but we talked about it on Real Talk. I'd watched The Lincoln Lawyer with Matthew McConaughey.
It's a great movie.
Because I'd never seen it before, and I was very entertained by his performance. As you revealed to me, his performance that actually led over to his Lincoln commercials. I never knew like that originated with a fictional character for him.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought he was like that all the time, but apparently that's something he developed on Lincoln Lawyer.
Yep.
So that was an all right little crime legal drama, and then tomorrow I haven't watched it, but I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. I'm getting Unhinged, baby. Going to the drive-in, catching Russell Crowe driving his truck through some shit, and that's getting double featured at the drive-in with Mad Max Fury Road. So we're just having a diesel burning type of night tomorrow. So
your face is gonna be melted off, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive my car right through the screen.
I figured that was the perfect time for the plug master to come on in. Speaking of Unhinged, we got a review up on the channel, guys. So, yeah, I was able to watch that film last night, and the review's up on the channel. Go check it out. But, yeah, Unhinged. I'll keep my thoughts at that for now.
Not a very inspiring facial performance you're giving there. Doesn't make me think I'm in for a good film tomorrow, but I'm looking forward to it. I didn't watch your review. Nothing personal. Just don't want any spoilers. I want to go in fresh. I want to go in raging and roaring, baby. I want to be revving that engine.
I purposely avoided trailers before seeing this because I was afraid it would do something. So
I got you. So that's what I've watched.
Don't touch that wire, buddy.
Don't touch the wire, Matt. We've got guests tonight. You don't want to hurt their eardrums. My favorite ghoul is watching tonight. Thank you, honey. Out in the sticks once again, camping in the middle of the wilderness, still finding us, still using up that data. Appreciate you so much. Thanks for watching tonight. Connor, what have you been watching this week?
Let's see. Still watching New Girl. Still trucking away at that series. Well. Yeah, love that show. That show makes me so happy. There's just something about it. All the characters have such great chemistry. Even the people they bring in for like a 6-episode arc or whatever. Like even those characters are great. So I've been watching that. I've been watching Reno 911, which is really funny.
The classic or the Quibi?
The classic, not the Quibi. I have not made my way to the Quibi yet. You
haven't restarted that Quibi subscription?
No, I canceled it.
Oh, man.
One series was enough for me. But in movie news, I've been watching. I actually not really binge watched, but I watched Halloween a Day. So I watched 8 Halloweens.
How was that? How was that for your brain?
It was mind melting, but it wasn't until I started watching them where I realized I think I always skipped over Curse of Michael Myers.
Yeah, there's some sort of gray area in between the Halloween franchise where I stopped being able to distinguish between certain ones.
Yeah. But I liked it. I'll enjoy literally anything that Paul Rudd is in, and he's so young in that movie.
Oh yeah, there is some Rudd action in there. And I agree. I will watch Paul Rudd in just about anything as well.
That's what I've been watching.
What a charming immortal man. Hell yeah, that's what we've been watching. And I'm kind of curious to know what some of our other friends have been watching this week. So I think now seems like a good time to bring in our very special guest for the evening. So introducing first, you've seen him, you know him. He is, of course, the producer of new film 1BR, coming to Netflix on August 23rd. Welcoming back to the show for the second time, Mr. Alok Mishra. Wait, where is he? Is it? There it is. There it is. How you doing, my friend?
Ugh, life. No, I mean, like the gardeners decide to come right now. Like that's the time. The gardeners are coming like right now. They usually come at 2:30. I thought it was fine. I was like, "Where's the fucking gardener? He's here now." So if you hear the shit in the background, I apologize. I'm sorry. Like it's like you
You got the gardener this time.
There's not one part of the house I can go to where the gardener is not going to be heard, and then in turn, the dog will be heard. Because the dog hates the gardener. I don't know why, but like anyway, we'll see. I hope we won't hear too much of it. I think they're maybe finishing up, but now the pool guy's here too, so I don't know. This is a bunch of like clusterfuck of a bullshit today. Anyway, everything's going well. Everything's going well. Excited about 1BR coming on. Did we get Naomi? Or are we introducing her or something? Is that
yeah
going on? Okay, sorry. Yeah, everything's good. Okay, just you do your show. But yeah, everything's good. We've been suffering through COVID as everyone has, and the good news is that people aren't going outside, so hopefully they're watching our movie more. That's always helpful. We're actually getting into the casting phase of the next movie, so that's a good thing as well. We've been going through so many different actors that we all can't agree upon and who we feel are relevant, and that guy's awesome. That guy has 5.6 million Instagram followers. Why does that matter? Because it does. Because it's stupid, and it's just this is the time and age we live in now. But the funny thing about like actors and their Instagram thing, and they have a bunch of people, they feel like they're just too good to quote to usually to Insta about the movie itself that they're going to star in. That could that they may be a producer on, let's say, or who knows what, and like they don't. It seems like they don't use their social media. I mean, like when they're too big because they feel like, I don't want to be a sellout. I'm like, fuck that. We're all sellouts. We're all sellouts.
For sure. I'll sell out first chance I get.
Yeah, I would do. Give me a break. Anyway, so what do you guys? What are you guys drinking tonight? I'm drinking the Fin de Mole.
Ooh, he's got the 19.
I've got a nice 19 crimes.
I'm drinking some Chardonnay I found at the convenience store for $7. I believe it's the Dark Horse.
That wine you have, they have Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I have not tried the Snoop Dogg one yet, but that is that's next on my list.
Wine now. You seen that?
Yeah, we were talking about the Snoop Dogg wine right before we started. We were curious of which crime was being associated with the bottle, whether it was the one where he was accused of murder. I don't know if that's what it was.
Murder was the case is the name of the song. So I assume it's murder.
All right. Speaking of awesome actors, as we were earlier, now feels like a great time to bring in another guest for the evening. For the first time ever, I'm so excited about this. You know her from 1BR, but you also know her from 3 whole seasons of American Horror Story. The legendary Naomi Grossman.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Okay. I'm not on my regular setup. I too had I don't have a gardener or a pool man here at the moment. But yeah, all of my devices decided it was almost like a horror movie. They were like coming to get me, trying to get on here with you. So I'm like I said, I'm in a new place. I'm near my neighbors, which have supersonic hearing. I literally got a noise complaint as recently as this morning. So we'll see how this goes.
Well, as I understand it, you guys it seems like are in a perpetual loop of podcasting and promoting. I feel like every single day I'm seeing Alok post something. Another great review somebody gave or another show you guys popped up on. I believe you were doing a show literally right up until now. You were doing a different show as well.
Mm-hmm.
The cycle of promotion never ends.
Yes.
What's that been like?
Well, when there's money to be made, I feel like we should get out there as much as possible. I mean, I get up in the morning, I'm like, we need to sell 100 copies of 1BR today. How are we going?
I'll tell you.
Cast over here.
I'll tell you, you could get better internet, and that would help.
Yeah, the Valley. I don't have good internet. And by the way, last time you didn't have the good internet. You were talking shit on my internet.
All right.
And whatever. God damn it.
Oh, man. We're no strangers to internet issues on this show.
Yeah, but anyway, I was gonna say, it's a constant cycle of promotion because we're stuck inside and I got nothing to do.
Yeah,
That's part of it.
That's perfect. I mean, we're getting work done. We're selling copies of 1BR, but you guys are like my best friends right now. You're my only friends, really. So,
well, I imagine you guys have made hopefully many new friends in all of this, doing this constant promotion, popping up on these shows. I mean, shit, just having Alok show up on our first episode, we felt like we made this great new friend. He comes up in the chat once in a while. It's like super endearing. We're super excited to have you guys with us.
You guys are fun guys, and you guys talk. You actually do a good job of talking. God damn it! You do a good job of actually talking about stuff I'm interested in hearing. And the little bing comes up every single time that you're on. Fucking bullshit. Is this not working in a really bad way?
It's your internet.
Just be truthful. If it's not working in a really bad way, I'll go to.
It freezes up once in a while, like for 2 or 3 seconds. I feel like we've missed a word or two.
Okay, all right. So if it's terrible,
but
terrible,
only when you're saying non-explicitives. When you use explicitives, we hear them fine.
When we're talking alcohol, we hear you.
Yeah.
Where anyway, it's the nature of this thing, right? These live sort of Zoom conference podcasts is you have to do tech support in real time,
like on the fly. Yeah,
it's not the ideal situation, but it is what it is. That's the great thing about this format is that we can bring in great people from the other side of the country and talk to them on almost notice. So it's awesome. I'm excited to have you guys here.
Yeah, of course.
What is it really like having to promote a movie right now? I mean, you guys were probably initially expecting to get like some sort of traditional screening distribution for this, right?
Yeah, only because I don't know if Alok can even hear you. Okay.
Yeah, we were.
Oh, no.
We were supposed to get a small theatrical release, but unfortunately COVID happened, so we didn't. So we, being on VOD has been a good thing in some ways. I mean, we would have probably spent a lot for theatrical release only to get, some of our money back. The VOD numbers have been pretty good. We're just learning. So, I'm learning about VOD myself as far as actually understanding, what being on this chart means versus that chart. And, what's an interesting fact that I never knew was that, basically iTunes and Amazon account for about 65 to 70% of the VOD market, like in North America. Like those are the players. And everyone else, you'll see stuff on DirecTV or on your and those watching on those systems account for so little. Listen, I should go to a different room, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask that question.
You should move. You should leave the valley.
I can't. The gardeners are still over there. It's gonna be so loud if I go over there. So I'm gonna have to make do for this right now.
Bring the gardener in. I don't care. He can.
Yeah.
Maybe I can shut some of this shit off in the back.
The thing is, I know he's drinking, and I can't tell when it's an internet glitch and when it's just him being drunk. Yeah.
Last time we had Alok on, he was having some issues with a pool guy, and now
at least he's consistent. He's consistent always.
But it's got to be exciting to have the movie coming to Netflix soon, because I feel like it's every other week I see like a list of Netflix horror movies you might not have seen, and there's like movies that I've seen like years ago, and people find a following with it. So it's got to be exciting to, because I see 1BR on like the list of like best movies of 2020 so far a lot. So I imagine one of those Netflix lists will pop up, and 1BR will be at the top, and there's going to be a lot of people discovering the movie for the first time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's got to be exciting.
It's so exciting. I mean, I'm as much a fan of 1BR as I am of Alok. As much as I love to give him a hard time. But you know, he's really like, this was just like the little movie that could, with like this itty bitty budget. Believe me, I didn't work for what I would normally charge. And you know, they went from every film festival around. I mean, like literally, it was like, where's Waldo for a while? You know what I mean? Like, Alok is somewhere in the world hawking this movie, and it's been amazing. And of course, you know, it would have been awesome to have had that a theatrical release. Like that was a bummer. But at the same time, I mean, how amazing that here we are, all cooped up inside, talking about this movie about being cooped up inside. Like in so many ways, the video on demand situation has really worked out, you know, to our favor.
Yeah,
that's been great.
It feels like it's been the time to shine for the mid-budget movie right now. You know, stuff that maybe wasn't going to get that traditional wide super release multiplex theater. Now because all those big movies have been delayed or pushed back to next year, they're not coming out. It's like people want something to watch now, so they're finding these smaller productions. Especially, you know, we do this horror show. We look at new horror movies every single week, and there's like never a shortage of something to watch. And there's always something new. There's always something people are talking about. And for some reason, horror has been able to shine. I don't know if that's because people are just always making horror movies, or if that's what people are most interested in right now.
Well, I think traditionally horror has been able to get away with lower budget that other genres haven't necessarily. But yeah, I mean, I do think that we've sort of, as viewers, are spoiled by all the like car chases and, you know, all these like expensive like water worlds and whatnot. And now with COVID, like we're very used to looking at a screen and seeing like these Zoom calls gone wrong. You know what I mean? And so like all of a sudden, like our expectations are changing. And well, and that said, I mean, 1BR doesn't look like it cost what it actually did. You know what I mean? It's one of those, they've managed to do a very difficult thing, and that is make what looks like a more expensive movie than it was. But I think for that reason, we tend to be more forgiving, you know, as viewers than we would have been, say, you know, a few years ago.
I think it's an interesting time we're living in as far as like these smaller movies sort of getting more reach than they would have. I mean, I think there's also the other side of it where there's a movie Sputnik out right now, which looks fucking awesome. And, you know, I don't think that movie would have got half the attention it would have got if it had just come out even in a small release of like 10 theaters or something. I think it's like, I mean, it's been like number one on the horror charts. I mean, I look at this all the time, like in England and also the US, like, right? The only reason I think it's losing right now is something for 99 cents or something that people wanted to see, you know, but otherwise that movie's like, and it's number one. There's a bunch of examples. The Wretched did great business in the drive-in stuff, you know. Yeah. I wish we could have been in the drive-ins, but that was not in the cards for us. That was not the plan of our distributor. But, you know, I mean, it costs money to make money sometimes. Maybe didn't think it was worth it in that regard. They might have been wrong. But, you know.
I mean, you're getting Netflix, so.
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, I'm totally – we have a great partner in Dark Sky, MPI. Yeah. They're a really great boutique sort of company that really is very conservative and, you know, rightfully so. They've been in business for so many years. You see so many other companies get bought by people or whatever because they made one or two or three bad decisions about what they're acquiring and what they could actually do with that movie. But almost everything they put out is something of quality.
I used to be a manager at Family Video, and I would always see Dark Sky on the back of like a DVD cover, and I'd be like, I've seen so many of these movies, so this is probably gonna be good. I've caught like a lot of quality, like lower budget horror films there. So Dark Sky, I always kind of gravitate to whenever I see their logo on something.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt at all. I just saw there was a comment. Somebody said 1BR would be great for drive-in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who is that, like a fan that's watching right now?
Yes.
Amazing.
You could say so, yeah.
I love it.
Also my girlfriend.
Your girlfriend. Okay, I'm a fan. That's for sure a fan. If she's not a fan, then you need to break up. No, I mean, I agree. It would be, obviously, because it's a great movie and drive-ins are fun. But at the same time, I mean, listen, I'm a theater major. I am super into like site-specific performance. And the fact that 1BR can only be seen in your 1BR, or maybe it's a 2, or maybe 3 or 4. I don't know how big your house is, but I think there's something really cool about that. Maybe that's just me taking my, lemons and turning them into lemonade. But I don't know, like in a drive-in, knowing that you can just drive away. I don't know. Just saying.
That's a very good point.
I just noticed something about myself. I think I look like fucking Russell Crowe right now.
You look very unhinged. You look very unhinged.
What you were talking about. So here's the thing. Hinge is my ex-boss's movie, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
he's the head. Solstice Pictures is the company that's putting that out. And Mark Gill is somebody who's the head of the studio. We used to work with quite a lot in terms of testing movies. He also came from like what's it called, Miramax, for example. He was working with Jason Blum over there. They were friends. And anyway, Vinny Brucisi is my boss, and he's the head of like marketing over there for that stuff. Have you seen the commercial for Unhinged that just has Russell Crowe talking, and he's like, "Come on, man," or "Go on, man. Go on." Man.
Yeah. Like he starts out with a speech about like the experience in the theater, and then he's like, "Fucking go to the theater and see this."
Like pissing in your pocket and calling it rain.
Daring you to watch this movie.
Oh my god! Here's the thing: I haven't seen it yet because I was like thinking, because I kept on talking to me. It's like, wow, we're gonna try maybe do a drive-in thing with it, and like I'm like, all right, and like now I don't know if it's happening or not. It's supposed to open this Friday though, so. We'll see. He told me about it tomorrow if they're gonna do it or not, because he just had a kid too, so he's like on the fence. But and I don't want to go unless I'm gonna see him. I love Russell Crowe, but I want to drive an hour and a half through traffic to go. Something I can see, and what probably is a couple months, on whatever.
Yeah.
But that Edgar Wright like retweeted that like commercial that they did, and I have watched it 10 times. It is genius. It is stupid, amazing shit. Like it is so good. But they've actually been doing decently overseas, even in the COVID spacing sort of like place we live in and stuff. It was #1 in like Germany and the UK and I think Australia.
Yeah.
Different places like that. So yeah, I'd be right with you, Taylor, to go see that movie. And also Mad Max. Fuck yeah! Like every week I'd do that. That was my favorite movie of that year, Mad Max, when that came out. And that's like classic film. Won all these.
I saw it on my birthday that year because it came out around my birthday. Saw it on my birthday. What a great birthday! That movie melted my face off.
I came out of that movie and I said this to a friend. I was like, "This is gonna fucking win Oscars, and it's also gonna be studied. There will be classes built around this fucking movie." To kind of figure out how they did this, da da da. Like, I mean, it will be a classic film, and sure enough, like for the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact: one of the Oscars that won was for makeup. Same makeup artist that did Me for Pepper.
There it is.
Boom.
Now speaking of Pepper, when you took on that role, did you go in thinking like, oh, this is going to be like a just kind of a background role, or did you know like it was going to have the following it does? Because whenever because my fiance, like whenever I mentioned you were coming on the show, at first she was like, do I know that? I was like, Pepper from American Horror Story. She's like, oh my god, I fucking love Pepper. Like whenever people talk about American Horror Story, they usually bring up Pepper as like their favorite character, especially people I know. So did you ever expect that, like that love for that character?
No, never. I mean, don't get me wrong. I technically knew it wasn't a background role because they wouldn't audition for that.
Okay.
But at the same time, I mean, my trajectory, or rather lack thereof until that point, had been such that it might as well have been a background role. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't get cast for the life of me. Like I was, when they called and it was, like this the hottest show on TV wants you to shave your head, and they want to pay you top of show to play this role that's pretty much like at the time, comparable to that of Chloe Sevigny and Marco Suelos and some of the other, name actors. And it was like, what? Like I really thought I was being punked, you know what I mean? Like Ashton Kutcher was in the Butches or something. And yeah, I did. I assumed I was like one of like an army of pinheads, but it wasn't until like that, like honestly, the very first day in that day room. And I remember, Ryan Murphy sort of wandering around the set, like kind of assessing all the weirdos. It was like they just threw a bunch of crazies in a room and like see what sticks. And who knew, Pepper was one of them, but could have been anybody. I really think that we don't decide these things, like as certainly not as actors. I'm sure Brian knows everything. So I'm sure he had, a master plan, but like as actors, we're just, it's really the audience that decides ultimately like what hits and what doesn't. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the editors have a lot to do with it. What I mean? They can make your role bigger or smaller, just like that, with the click of a button. But yeah, I mean, who knew? Not
correct me if I'm wrong. Pepper's like the first recurring character, right? Coming from Asylum to Freak Show, am I right?
Right, it's first crossover.
So that's really, I mean, people talk about, the cinematic universe and things like that so much these days, but that really, I think, is you have the distinction of like debuting that concept to that show where it would all eventually reveal that it was happening in the same parallel universe or whichever.
Yeah. Actually, if you watch the show, if you watch Freak Show, you'll notice the first couple episodes, they only refer to us as the humorous pinheads. They don't even call us by name. And there's the reason for that. They weren't sure how to, navigate that at first. Even then, I remember when I was first when I was first coming to the makeup trailer, like there in New Orleans shooting Freak Show, and Ryan even asked me, like, he's like, so are you Pepper? Or and it's like, wow, let me know. Like, let's in my head. Let's decide this. But I remember being extremely stressed out because the call sheet said Pepper, but everything is very under wraps on that show, and somehow some call sheet got like leaked to like AHS Brazil or whatever, some fan site, and then all of a sudden it was like out, like the whole internet like just broke in Brazil because Pepper's back. But it was like, whoa, we haven't. Is Pepper back? Like I know on the call sheet it says Pepper, but like the audience doesn't necessarily need to know what the call sheet says. You know what I mean? Like
right.
maybe I'm a different pinhead. I don't know. But it was, I was stressed out at first because I thought, oh snap, like I didn't do it. Like I don't know, like I don't know who's sneaking around set, like photographing the call sheets and like sending them to Rio. But I remember making it very clear to the producers, like, just so you know, I have nothing to do with this. Like, I'm keeping my secret, I mean, it's hard to keep the secret when you're like running around as a bald woman in New Orleans, but just don't talk to people.
Yeah.
Just don't go online. It's true though. There was like 3 months there where I just sort of like, for somebody who's quite vocal on her social media, like I was pretty much MIA.
Gotta be when you're a pinhead, right?
Right. Monosyllabic anyway.
Right. Now, if I understand correctly, you and Alok actually go back quite a ways pre-1BR, right?
Yeah. We met. Alok is from LA, and he was good friends with one of my college friends. So I basically like picked up where Alok left off. And when I moved to LA, that's when our mutual friend said, oh, because I didn't have any friends at the time. I was basically like Sarah from 1BR. And so she was like, oh, meet my, circle of friends, of which Alok was, the hub, of course. And so that's how we became friends.
What was it like for the two of you to transition that, friendly relationship to sort of a professional environment, working on a movie together?
Well, I mean, it was really easy. I mean, Naomi is really great. I'll tell you two things. One, like, she was always like, I'll be in your movie. You tell me when. And, we even, but because it's
I didn't know he was going to choose Christmas and the Emmys. I will say, like, I did say, tell me when. I should have said, hopefully it's not the two most important weekends that I would actually like to see my mom. But that's okay.
Okay. It's cheap to shoot during December. I'm a money-grubbing producer.
Gotta be, right?
So what happened? This is funny. So I was gonna say the second story is this. Naomi was.
I was gonna say you were gonna say some nice things about me. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Saying nice things about you. So the problem was that, like, one, she said she'd do it, and we, even despite that, we're so lucky to have her, but we still had to make her audition. So that was kind of shitty. But and then they made me read with her because we didn't have anybody else to do it, and I'm not a fucking actor. So it was terrible. And she's like mouthing the word. But that was one thing. Secondly, we did some reshoots on it. We got lucky enough to go back and do some reshoots. We wanted to reshoot the ending and stuff like that. And Naomi got nominated for an Emmy, like for this. What's the series called? It was the online
abortion comedy.
It's an abortion comedy. It's very funny, actually. It's hilarious, and she's like hilarious in it. And so she got nominated. Cannot believe she didn't win, because the person who did win, I think it's old people just voting for whatever. Like, I don't know, but anyway.
What was the title again?
It's called Control Alt Delete.
Control Alt Delete. Okay. Yeah.
So she's nominated for an Emmy. It's her time to shine, and it's of all 52 weeks in the year, this is when we can get the band back together. Like the week of like Emmys or whatever. So this poor woman, she comes and she's just like, Mishra, I'm coming back to do your shitty movie.
I didn't say that.
She didn't say it. I'm making a joke just to make it funnier. But it's like that though, sort of. In a way, like she's like, I'm doing your film instead of going to this gifting suite where I could get a trip to Barbados. I'm gonna come do your movie. But I think sent her mom in her stead, and she went and got all the stuff. So she got the stuff anyway. But she can't go to Barbados right now anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. The point of it is that she's such a good friend. She came back and did this despite, we tried to get her off to go to parties and whatever else and stuff like this so she could get out and shine a bit. But she was such a good friend to come back and do it. And it really did help at the end of the day. Like we got more of what we needed to be a much fuller, richer film in that regard.
Do I get to say my end of this story? Because
it's
totally different.
Please do.
It's literally, I feel like we're in that Grease. Remember, it was like, tell me more, and then the girl has like a totally different story. Alone, like, we realized we squandered you. Your talent, we squandered it. Like the movie's great, it's coming out great, but we need more Janice. The movie needs to be about Janice. That's how you get me. Like, don't get me wrong. I would love to be in Barbados, but like, yeah, I want to be like have a bigger role in the movie. Like, I'll miss the trip to Barbados if I get more screen time. Didn't get more screen time, but it's okay. I did the right thing. Listen, Alok is. He's a force in Hollywood now. He's gonna make another movie, and I'm hoping he'll remember me. That's, you know what I mean? Like, this is an investment.
We keep on saying 1BR : The Chronicles of Janice. That's what the talk around town.
Yeah, right. You need
2BR
reshoots next time.
2BR. No, it's 1BR 2 bathroom. That's what we are. None of the title came up. Who doesn't need an extra bathroom? Is your relationship good? Janice is probably living in that house. I don't know. It could go 100 different ways. That's the great news, if anything. But
it's very difficult trying to brush your teeth over one sink.
Right? I mean, exactly. And I think that, like, listen, God willing, in 2.5 or 3 years, because I think that's enough time. You need to let it saturate and marinate a bit in the public consciousness where they can watch it, wherever and blah, blah, blah. I think we could come back and revisit this universe. And who says who says that Janice doesn't pop up? I don't want to spoil anything, but she's still alive, sort of, So
I don't even have to be Janice. I could be, throw some makeup on me. I've got connections to Oscar-winning Mad Max AHS makeup people.
Let's spend the little money we do have to disguise you. The most animated person I know.
I will say, you could have spent more money on that makeup.
That's
saying.
You're right.
That's really my only beef with 1BR.
No, that's actually a really interesting, sequel idea. Maybe Janice is leading the cult now, and maybe someone new moves in.
Maybe Janice was leading all along. How do we know? A lot of people say that Miss Stanhope is actually the puppet master, and that she is actually fake. I don't say what happens, but fake.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're doing spoilers, aren't we? I mean, I guess should we give a warning or something? Or I don't know.
It's kind of weird, right? Because I haven't really set up 1BR, and I guess it's a symptom of we've talked kind of at length about it on the show before. That was our first ever episode, was talking 1BR. But I probably should assume that it's possible there are people watching right now.
So if you're watching or listening, because we go on Spotify, Apple, all that, day after, there's going to be some spoilers coming up.
It goes on Saturday or Sunday, you're saying? Sorry.
We go up next day, so Friday.
Friday. Okay, got it. I mean, maybe just tell them to wait to listen to it till Sunday. They can watch it in the morning, and then they can watch it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if you haven't seen 1BR, you're missing out. You're slipping up.
I mean,
we've been recommending the show for weeks, for months. What have you been doing? But if you haven't seen it, August 23rd is your big opportunity, because you in a sense can see it for free. I mean, if you got Netflix already, and I'm sure that you do because you've been quarantined for months, so I'm sure you've got all the streaming subscriptions.
Or if you simply cannot wait, if you have been so inspired by our conversation here, I'm doing my Russell Crowe, by the way. You simply can't wait.
You're doing your money-grubbing producer right now.
I'm Russell Crowe. Go to VOD on iTunes, Amazon, Hulu, AT&T, DirecTV, Xbox, PlayStation, Fandango now. Don't let them pee in your pocket, but take out the money from your pocket and pay $4.99 if you cannot wait and see it there right away. Go long.
Oh no, it's brought up on the screen.
Oh no.
1BLT, frequent viewer on Twitch, once you guys decide off on whether you're Team Edward or Team Jacob, which I'll explain briefly. I wasn't going to bring this up. I wasn't going to plug that on.
I guess we have to now.
But now it's been mentioned that there it is again.
That's what it is.
That in November, for some reason, we're doing an all-night Twilight watch-along that's going to be 10.5 hours long. And
it's Neil Marshall did the third one. That's the best one, right?
I think there's a different group in all of them, I think.
Neil Marshall, I think, did the third. Catherine Hardwicke did the first one and the second one, I want to say. And then Neil Marshall, I think, did the third one. And Neil Marshall is like a force. He is actually premiering a movie tonight at Fantasia, where we, not a year ago because they pushed it back, but very close. I think it's called Reckoning. So Team Jacob or Team Edward?
Yeah.
I'd say Team neither. But
whoa,
Edward has Edward's the vampire, right? And Jacob's the
Robert Pattinson,
whatever wolf person. I went and watched the last episode of that thing. They split into two parts, right?
I believe so.
Okay, I was describing. I had watched. It's one of the ones I hadn't. I watched them all eventually because I'm just like, what the fuck is this phenomenon about? I need to see,
Yeah.
And I started talking to a friend about it. I'm like, I think both of them are gay. I think there's Bella who's in the middle, and there's one part of the movie where she's trying to hold them back from each other, but she's holding them back because they want to fuck each other. And I go, they totally want to. They want to. They're like, werewolf, vampire dicks, and the whole thing is it's not a thing where she thinks that the one's in love with her. He's not in love with her. Who wants to fuck that werewolf? And so I started saying, watch the trailer from that point of view. And they were like, you ruined this for me.
Well, you used to work in test marketing, right, for movies, so that was
No.
on your part.
I was like, if you look at it in that way, then you're gonna see this is like a gay werewolf vampire saga, like where they've all been about trying to fuck each other, and this bitch is in the way, and fuck that bitch for being in the way. Like,
Well, now I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head when we do the 10.5-hour long stream.
I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna see it. You're gonna unfold it.
That's all I'm going to think about now. So thank you.
How you haven't overlooked this fact for so long?
I'm gonna kind of I've never thought about that, Alok, and I've never watched these movies, so actually I should just shut up myself. But I gotta say, I'm with Alok in that I would say ixnay to either. The absolute hands down best vampire movie is Let the Right One In.
Love that one. Yeah.
I mean, so that's why I'm like, why are you even bothering with how?
And can I say that's a rare movie where the sequel is just as good or better than the original, because Let Me In is fantastic.
Oh, I didn't even know that one.
Yeah, Let Me In is fantastic. I think it was Drew Goddard. It has I can't remember the actors in it, but it's very good.
Is it Matt Reeves or Drew Goddard who directed the American one?
Ooh, I think it was Drew Goddard. No, it was Matt Reeves and Drew Goddard wrote it. I think that's how it went.
I mean, I know that it's very popular to be like anti-America right now, but
but Let the Right One is fantastic.
I love the foreign, the Swedish. I mean, yeah.
Well, but here's what he was saying. Both of them are actually really great. I mean,
yeah, they're like on the same level. Like they remade it without ruining any aspect of it. It's fantastic.
There's differences, but the differences are great. I mean, it's. I mean, I think it's almost like reading Player One and then watching Player One for me. I liked that movie and I liked the book, and I thought it was different than the book for sure. But I think some of the ideas were actually really great that Spielberg did. But going back to your Twilight marathon. If I had to pick one, I'd say Robert Pattinson, only because I like his body of work since. Like he's only done independent shit. He did a fucking Cronenberg movie.
You like his body.
Well, there you are. He's also the next Batman, and that Batman stuff. Again, going back to Matt Reeves, right? Like it looks legit to me. It looks good. It looks like it's going to be something interesting. I think they're releasing just enough that I'm interested to see it. And I think it's like that. Robert Pattinson has done a lot of good stuff. The other guy just did like one or two action movies, and they're like, Hollywood is like, fuck you to you, like he's not done anything, I don't think, or I haven't seen him in anything. Maybe he's doing theater. Who knows? I doubt it, but
he's definitely not doing Batman, so that's got to count for something.
Well, I mean, it's your choices, right? Like Rob Pattinson is just like, I got all the money I need. I'm only doing stuff I want to do, and I'm only doing stuff that interests me. So it's like, I'll do your gay cowboy movie. I'll do your, what's it called, brothers who did Uncut Gems.
The Safdie brothers.
Yeah,
Good Time.
That movie, which is like crazy.
Good Time is insane.
Crazy interesting, He only does stuff he wants to do, which I think is admirable. So if I had to pick one, foot feet to the fire, I'd pick Edward.
That was you really went through the gauntlet of figuring that out, though. I appreciate how serious.
My thought process was there, right? Like the vampire and the werewolf wanting to fuck each other, like that was part of it.
Can I ask about 1BLT? That's not
right.
What is that?
We thought.
Is it one bacon, lettuce, tomato? I'm so confused. One sandwich? Like what?
We've been going through this. 1BLT is one of our viewers. I recommended your movie to them on the basis that they both start with the two similar characters. I'm not. I asked them if they like BLTs. They said they do. First of all, thank you for coming back, 1BLT. I'm glad you're joining us once again. And you have Naomi Grossman now asking you about your name. So we need the full origin story on who you are and where you
we've never gotten the answer, but we've always been very interested. I don't think it's left the back of our mind since.
Well, I just thought it was maybe a variation on 1BR. Like they're such a fan of, Janice specifically, that he's like, I'm just going to name myself after this movie. I don't know. That was my own narcissistic hope.
He's certainly named himself after a delicious meal. I can tell you that. I am a fan of bacon, all kinds of bacon, and you have to. The way to make an amazing BLT: mayonnaise down, tomato goes in the mayonnaise. Okay, very important. The next thing, you got to put the bacon on top of that, and then the lettuce, and maybe put a little mustard on the back of that bread, and then stick it to the and you eat it all together. Maybe some raw onion sometime. It'd be amazing. I'm just telling you, the mayonnaise, the tomato has to go in a mayonnaise. It's essential. I just made one this week. I'm telling you, I do it. It's perfect the way it goes.
2 episodes where we've gone. I just want to point this out. 2 episodes in a row, we've gone on food tangents. Last episode, we went on a whole entire potato tangent for like a half hour.
I didn't realize that was a food tangent. I thought that was another gay vampire run through.
I'm gonna tell you, in that trailer, you watch that trailer. There's a part when she's holding them back, and they're on some sort of bridge, and there's a thing.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You just they're gonna fuck each other. I swear to God.
I can't believe we managed to get sidetracked on food again. 1BR's. I was like, this show, we got 2 guests. We're going to keep it all on the rails. We're just going to get right through there. We're going to keep it super on point. 1BRT comes in and gets us talking about food.
I think that's impossible for this show. We constantly go off the rails, get sidetracked on something.
And 1BLT says they got it from Jimmy John's.
I love Jimmy John's. I love Jimmy John's.
They're freaky fast.
Yeah, they are.
Free smells.
Yeah.
Naomi, something I did. It's so hard to like transition back to like, let's talk about something relevant. Talk about
After food.
Twilight orgies and Jimmy John's. Something I did want to ask you about is that you actually come more so from the comedy world. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Which is fascinating to me because now I feel like you're so synonymous with horror, obviously from the show, but also now you're in 1BR. I almost said 1BLT. You're in 1BR, so you're in horror films now. Something we've kind of talked about before on this show or tried to figure out is the sort of synergy between the comedy world and the horror world. It seems like people, whether it's actors or filmmakers, kind of easily transition between the two.
You got David Gordon Green with Halloween. You've got what's his name from Eastbound and Down? He wrote Halloween.
Danny
McBride.
Yes, Danny McBride.
Yeah.
Obviously, we got Jordan Peele has become the big one.
Yeah.
Kevin James and Becky. So you have all these like comedy, hitters transitioning to horror or vice versa. What's the connection there?
Well, first off, I think people have this idea that that actors actually have a say, and that we like are sitting back and like. I mean, listen. I'm sure Meryl Streep is picking her scripts. Obviously, but I was just happy to have a job, like I was like, oh my God, I might actually make insurance and be able to go to the doctor this year. Like, wow. So, at one level, I think we're not necessarily all that, we're not picking and choosing as much as I think people think we are. But I know for me, when I got into this business, I thought, wow, well, it's competitive enough. I need to, gotta get a gimmick. Like I should get really good at what I do. And what I did, or what I thought I did at the time, was really broad, over the top comedy. So imagine like SNL, you know what I mean? Like big wigs, big characters. And that's what I did for a while. I was in the Growling Sunday Company, which is known for sort of like an SNL factory. Like they just sort of churn out these like kind of over the top characters, many of which you've seen on SNL. The Elviras and the Pee Wee Hermans. Like those are all characters that actually originated at the Groundlings, and that was the kind of stuff I did. And that's why it's interesting. Like I know I've said on interviews in the past, like, American Horror Story was one of the few like dramas I've ever even auditioned for. And I think that might even be true. It definitely wasn't the only drama I've done. Like I went to drama school, so I've done, Chekhov and Ibsen. Like I've done plenty of drama, but I I really had sort of pigeonholed my way, thinking that I was only, going to do this very niche sort of thing. Now, in retrospect, I do realize like how limiting that was, but it's actually amazing because Pepper, when you think about it, really is a big over-the-top type character. In fact, they needed someone like me, and with an improv background, who can act through those prosthetics. Because let's face it, like, had Judi Dench played this role, can't imagine. But let's face it, like, her face does not move, right? And Dame, Judi Dench, she's a master. But I'm just saying, like, she and I couldn't be further on the spectrum. Like, she literally is so controlled. She does not move. Whereas I'm like this like, explosion. And for that reason, honestly, like, the makeup was really, like, actually really great for me because it allowed me to, like, act to the back row like I'm used to in the theater, and yet it looked totally contained and subtle even, which was awesome. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, I hadn't done Pepper before American Horror Story, but Pepper really was, when you think about it, very much in line with the level, like the kind of character work I'd done prior. But to really answer your question, and then I'll shut up, it's someone else's turn, is that I do believe that I think horror embraces some of these over-the-top characters in a way that, these like procedural dramas don't. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at like some of the really iconic horror characters, like Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees, they're like covered in blood with like the knives for hands. Like, they're just like over the top. Like, that wouldn't work in like really realistic drama. And so I do think that like with horror, we're allowing a certain level of disbelief that we do in comedy as well. So I don't think it's actually I think there is a relationship between the two. I think they're not all that far apart, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of the comedian references you were making earlier they're just kind of fanboys of the genre, and they're like, I would have done this, if I had the power. And I think that's kind of part of it, where it comes from. And they're also, they actually write, like, they're actual writers too, like, in addition to being comedians. And so they're like, it's been an interesting sort of juxtaposition recently. I would love to see more of it. I would love to. I will say this: did you guys really like Us?
You?
I did, but
Us,
the movie Us.
Yeah.
I did like it a lot.
Here's the thing: I liked it too. 70% of it I liked. Second she goes down that escalator. Okay, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it by now, fuck yourself. I'm sorry. But if they go down the escalator and it all fucking falls apart. The reality of it, we have 300 million people in this country. Are there 300 million people living underground that we've never discovered before? Where do these people shit? Like, they're eating rabbits? Like, what's going on? This is bullshit. This is bullshit to me.
Are there 300 million people underworld? I don't know.
There's a copy of each person above and below, right? They're all doing the roller coaster to, whatever the bullshit was. Like, the second you get down there,
across America,
and it's not like, well, maybe, but it's not the thing where you couldn't really understand it. They should have hidden her more. That she had been you could tell she was switched, because when she's beating up that white family, she starts grunting like the other underground people and stuff. And so that was they should have tested that movie with Us, because I would take that one scene out. Just take the grunt out. Take the grunt out. At least it'll last longer. The idea of like whatever you're trying to do. Now I've heard that there's a much bigger mythology to this whole thing, and we'll learn more about it perhaps in the second film. And I hope that's the case. But I'll tell you this: it lost me. It lost me, and I get so angry about it too, because I feel like it was just lazy filmmaking, and it was just like the emperor has no clothes in some respect. And I'll say this: what's it called? Get Out was magical. Lightning in a Bottle, fucking fantastic, pitch perfect movie. You get one of those movies in a career sometimes, and like went around the world, 300, 400 million, whatever it made, it was amazing and it deserved every dime, right? Yeah. This Us movie made almost as much money, but didn't deserve it, I thought. And then in addition to that, the Twilight Zone series that this guy has made has been very poor. Like maybe two decent episodes, right? Like not a lot of really good stuff there. And then, B-level talent at least, Greg Kinnear's of the world and what have you. So I did like, to some extent, his Amazon show that Hunters or whatever.
Hunters, I loved Hunters.
Yeah,
I thought that was very good.
I thought that was good, but I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was a lot of him or just his like name slapped on it. To be honest, in that regard. But anyway, I'm still questionable of Jordan Peele because of my hate of Us.
Did you see Lovecraft Country?
Well, we can talk about that. I just watched that last night, and I liked it. I'm interested to see where it's going to go. I had actually canceled my HBO Max subscription to let things build up again, and then watch them in more marathon format. And then I feel like I'm gaming them in some way to do this. Yeah. But I did like it actually. I did like it. So maybe there is, I forgot about that. I watched it last night. I don't know what I can do, but I got so obsessed with Us when you talked about Us, and I was like, where do these people sit? That was my thing when I walked out. I'm like, this is no one does this. What is this bullshit about?
With Us, it was. So I've heard it said before that when you have a first time director, it happens sometimes that their debut film is this great inspired work because they've been spending years on it. They spend all this time thinking about it, and they have a lifetime of influence and inspiration going into it. And then they have that big breakthrough moment, and now it's like everybody's looking at them. They're like, okay, what you got next? And now they have, a couple weeks, a couple months to write something new, and maybe it's not as meditative. I don't know if Us had that issue. I think for me, I was like, well, if you think of it as a real world scenario, like, okay, where did they get the jumpsuits? Where did they get the scissors? What have they been doing down there all that time, right? No, it doesn't add up. I kind of took it as the same thing as Get Out, where it's like, in the real world, can you take a man's brain out and just throw it in some other guy, and now he's that guy? No.
But the context is believable enough in the world they built that it makes sense. But this other world even is supposed to kind of be like the real world. It seems like it's like they did a really great job with the marketing because you didn't know it was going to be a bigger story. Like you just thought it was like happening to this family, and then it's like all over the world. And so that's a really interesting idea. I mean, I don't know. I wait to hold final decision to see what they do with the sequel. Perhaps I don't know what the mythology is going to be. I'm very interested to know. I'll say what you're saying is very thoughtful, though, about the idea of building this up for years and years, and then finally getting to deliver on something, and then being rushed through the second thing. I mean, I think that for example, the director who did It Follows, It Follows was brilliant. Like I saw that at Sundance, and I was like, this is like, we were talking about it for weeks after, hey, what would you do? Well, here's what I do. I'd fuck somebody in the U.S. and then I fly and live in India. And that zombie's got to walk underwater for I got a year to fuck all these bitches over here. And then I'm gonna fly. And right when it gets to me and I start seeing stuff, I'm gonna get on a plane and fly back. That zombie got to walk all the way through. We're trying to suppose all this stuff. And that's what's so great about movies. I mean, you start talking about things and trying to figure it out and whatever. But then that guy went and did Under the Silver Lake, which I thought was just a dreadful film. It's almost akin to what's his face doing Donnie Darko and then doing Southland Tales. And by the way, that guy, the Richard Kelly or whatever,
Kelly, yeah,
he never.
He's doing a sequel to Southland Tales.
Tammy was talking about it earlier, right? About the editor can make a movie, right? That editor made a movie. Because that guy wanted to take his fucking name off the movie, and then the editor put together a good cut of it, and he's like, "Oh yes, it is my film. I am a genius," and he's never done anything fucking ever again. Even the Domino movie he tried to do was a piece of shit too, right? So it's it's an interesting thing to show when the emperor has no clothes, or maybe they don't have enough time, like you say. So I should be actually nicer, Taylor. So you actually,
I like Under the Silver Lake. I enjoyed that movie.
It's 5 different endings of that goddamn movie.
There are several endings.
Those people can listen to podcasts too. I'm just saying, you're gonna get some hate tweets tonight, Alok. I'm just saying.
Look, I'm not big enough. We're not big enough. Cheers, everybody. It's gonna be mine.
What's that discretion
I'm on
statement?
An opinion about a movie? Good, because I have a lot of opinions.
What's that
I don't know.
discretion statement
I
above like a?
I love everything. I just need a job, so I'm not trying to alienate anybody. I love all horror, all movies. I love all movies.
Richard Kelly put together a director's cut of his movie, and it was a piece of shit. It was terrible. I actually paid to watch it. I feel like I was like, let me see. And nope.
But you can't say anything about Donnie Darko. That movie's magical.
Oh, I love Donnie Darko, but that's the thing. It's so good, but it's not because of him. He had some good ideas. Here's the thing. He went to USC. Another person I worked with also was in his class at USC, and they thought he was just some frat boy making weird shit. Like his stuff wasn't Jamie Vanderbilt, also at USC. He sold Basic, the movie Basic, before he was even out of school. That guy was already an amazing writer, also a great director too. I'd say as well. But you could tell the difference. This guy was some frat boy who no one understood his stuff, and it wasn't even it was deep or something like that. It was just so on the nose and just it didn't matter. And somehow he writes something that someone else is interested in, Drew Barrymore's company, and then gets to direct his first movie. And they take the movie away from him, and then they re-edit it. Whatever he's done, they re-edit the whole fucking thing. And he's like, I want to take my name off this movie. And they're like, it's testing really well. Oh, it's testing really well, you say?
and now it's a cult classic. So
I'm getting back to Russell Crowe. You say? Anyway, but that's my point. There's a lot. But here's the funny thing: there's more people in Hollywood than you think that are like this. You think because you had one good successful movie doesn't mean you are actually a very good filmmaker necessarily. You may have got lucky, but you may also have been a very good filmmaker. But Taylor, like you said, going back to it, it's very polite. It's actually I don't think about that very often, and I should think more about that and be kinder to films because of that. Because you're rushed through production, whatever else, it happens. I've seen it a million times. I've talked to so many filmmakers that are just Michael Bay. When we were testing the first Transformers movie, he just came to us and was just like, "Oh God, this is going to be such a piece of shit."
He did?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And then when it tested well, he's like, yes, hot damn, I knew it. Fucking cocksucker. Come on, man. You were literally just about to cry. I've had this problem and this and I maybe shouldn't have said that now. I feel bad about that.
Michael Bay is definitely watching.
Honestly, I think so.
1BLT is Michael Bay. I should let you know.
I knew it. He's been
strangely enough. We've talked about Michael Bay a lot on this show,
as you do
on Annie.
Very polarized figure, but I mean, listen. He didn't do the last Bad Boys. It was somebody else, wasn't it?
Yeah, he has a good cameo in it though.
Yeah, that's right. The wedding. He's like the priest. Yeah. Actually, not too bad a movie, by the way.
It's strange enough, the series that he's directed and had his hands in for the longest time, the moment he walks away and someone else directs it, they're very good movies. You got Bumblebee and you got Bad Boys for Life. Both of them great movies.
Bumblebee was good, and I liked Bad Boys for Life. I saw Bad Boys for Life in the theater. I saw it in the theater.
I bought it.
Well, it's available on Stars right now. As is my rival, always my rival on Twitter. I don't know if people know I do the Twitter. Bloodshot. I finally watched Bloodshot on Stars because I paid for it, and I was like, it's not that bad.
I have not watched it. Should I watch Bloodshot? I will say I bought 1BR, so I've bought 1BR, but I have Stars, so I can just stream Bloodshot without buying it.
No. Listen. I'm making a joke. Vin Diesel's kid goes to school with my nephew and stuff, and he's a lovely man. Don't get me wrong. In the LA sense of things, he's a very lovely man. And my nephew's a jackass and an asshole because I'm like, hey, I hear this is happening in Guardians of the Galaxy. I heard this and blah 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 blah. And he's like, is this true? And he's just like, you got some very good sources. ask him stupid questions like that all the time. So I was making fun of it to make fun of it, to be honest. But actually, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And if you're watching, here's the thing: if you're gonna pay you have Stars, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then you can just watch it. It's free. I mean, it's like whatever. You're not paying for it outside of whatever. I was gonna tell anybody if they were thinking about actually buying on streaming, just pay for the subscription for Stars for 1 month, and you can get like so much more. I mean, the Tarantino movies on there, Fantasy Island. Shitty movie I want to see. I've heard it's shitty, but I'm dying to see. It's coming on like this week. I'm like,
it's a guilty pleasure. I've got to say, Fantasy Island, guilty pleasure.
Let me pitch you Fantasy Island. Let me pitch you Blumhouse's Fantasy Island. There's a character. He's got a saw for a hand. His name is Dr. Torture. What do you think?
You would buy a ticket to that, right, guys? Dr. Torture.
I'd find the Swedish version and watch that instead.
If I took an edible, I'd watch that. That's a promise from me to you. You know, like, well, hold on. We always tell this story about. So Naomi and I before COVID happened, the last movie we went to go see was the movie Cats. And we saw it because it was at the Alamo Draft House. Did I tell you this story before? I feel like I've been in so many podcasts we tell this story.
You gave us a little hint of it.
Yeah, you gave us a hint, but we have not heard the story.
All right, so I don't know. Naomi and I went to go see this movie at the Alamo Draft House, and they had this version of it that they do called Rowdy Cats. Now, Rowdy Cats was like a second life for this shitty Cats movie that they don't, show the cats' assholes or whatever. There's gonna be an asshole version one day, and I will buy that. I will fucking straight up.
We're a big supporter of the butthole cut. We've said it before. We are all for the butthole cut. We want
to see the butthole cut. But so what happens is that Rowdy Cat, you can talk to the screen. You can sing at the screen. You can do whatever. Like Naomi is obviously a amazing theater geek, and she's like, I'm gonna dress up as a cat. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, let's do it. And so we're with our other friend Blaine as well. And like we get there and like I take a lot. I mean, we were there for a while, so I felt like I could take it's all legal in California. I don't know, in terms of like where you guys are at with that if it's legal or not. But I took like 20 milligrams of this stuff, which is like in gummy candy, and it was this the kind of candy called it was a habanero pineapple candy, right? And we eat it, and we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. It tastes great. And like, oh shit, we're really high. And we were drinking beers too. And we went and saw the movie. Magic. Pure magic. Like Naomi is singing.
It's a wonderful film.
Yes. Tell them what you were doing. You were singing literally every song. Tell them.
I literally love Cats. I love this version. I loved it when I saw it on Broadway. I loved it in the touring show. I loved it all through college as a theater major. Like I love Cats. So yes, of course I'm going to love this one. And of course I've seen it multiple times, both stoned with Alok and sober as a judge. I love Cats. I realize that I am in the very small minority. But no, listen, I get it. It's like Showgirls to me. Like, I love Showgirls. Like I want to see the butthole version of Showgirls. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I mean, listen, Borat's my favorite movie, but Cats is like a close. I don't know. It's on the list for sure. So I know every song, and that helps.
There's got to be a butthole cut of Showgirls. There has to be.
There has to be.
I think we've seen it.
I think we've.
I actually I was at an AFM party with Glenn, the guy that's the black dude in Showgirls, who's like trying to teach her all the moves.
Oh, the dance teacher, yeah, the one putting on his show
with that. And I got drunk with him, and I was like, oh man, I fucking love Showgirls, and he's just like, yeah, that's like the gift that keeps on giving. People keep coming up to me and talking about this movie all the time, blah blah blah, and I was like, yeah, because it's awful. Anyway, so going back to Cats for a second, the story. So Naomi is singing the songs at the top of her lungs, and like, memory. I'm so high. I'm like, can you just shut up?
No, I can't.
She's like, no, I'm singing every song, and it was awesome. It was awesome. But then we start realizing, because you're high, certain like racist things going on with with cats. All the black cats are the bad cats. Like Jennifer Hudson's kid, she's just like been shit upon because she's a black cat. And then Rum Tum Tigger is like played by Idris Elba, and he's like a villainous cat as well. And finally we start going like, this is racist. This is racist. And we're like, racist. And like, we got everyone's like standing in the theater, racist. It was the best experience, and I'm so glad I got the experience with Naomi Grossman.
Wow.
She has a great voice, by the way. I mean, I was joking about like, it was just very loud and like whatever. But I mean, she actually sang the songs perfectly. Like, she's very good. I mean, if you're
he didn't realize what he was getting into. Like,
I did not. I honestly did not. I had no idea. I had no idea that this was that magical. Like,
yeah, I mean, I feel like it has potential to be like the next Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know what I mean?
If they put the buttholes in and people can throw things at the buttholes.
Yeah, and we could all dress up as cats and like impersonate them before the screen. Like, oh my God, I do that every midnight. Every midnight.
I'm a cat enthusiast, so I have not seen Cats yet, but I'm all for it. I had the original like Broadway play on VHS and would watch it as a kid.
Okay.
But I have not seen the new film yet.
I
love cats in general. I have two, and they're both sleeping. But yeah, from your guys' recommendation, I'll see it.
I'm gonna tell you. It was the most magical. I mean, you have to take some edibles or something and do something.
Yeah,
but
drink a whole bottle of wine.
I had never seen Cats in any way, shape, or form. I've seen the Saturday Night Live thing making fun of cats or whatever. Oh, it's been better than Cats or whatever, right? That's the only thing I've ever seen of that, really, to be honest. And it was so good. And I cannot imagine seeing it any other way. You have to like do something, watch the movie. You're gonna lose your mind, and make sure you have a social distance friends, or maybe do a watch party. I don't know. Like, maybe you could do that too.
I was just about to say, watch along, boys. You want to get together at Connor's house?
I guess we have to at this point.
I'll need to be drunk this time, seeing I had to review that movie sober, and that was horrid.
I've got a stock full of alcohol, so it sounds like a plan.
One edible will fix everything. It'll make it completely different than being drunk. Because we actually were both a little bit, but like the edible thing made it just the associations that you make in your mind when you had some of that stuff was just insane. Like the whole racist thing was like hilarious. In some regard.
Naomi, have you been in Cats at any sort of production of it before?
No, and Alok is being very kind. I don't have a great voice. I mean, I think the fact is I know every single word. Like I know most words of most musicals because that was my thing growing up. You know what I mean? Like Alok knows every movie that was ever produced. And I know all the musicals. But, like I would say like growing up as a theater geek, musicals were the kind of thing that like I had to be in because there was nothing else. You know what I mean? Like, of course we did Grease, and of course I was Frenchie, and you know what I mean? Like, but it wasn't until then when I was in college and I was actually like, there were some awesome actors in my school with me, like Heather Headley, who you may know from that show, Sweet Magnolias, I want to say it's called. Anyway, she won the Tony for Aida. Like, she's a giant star. Kate Baldwin, giant Broadway star. Like, again, like unless you're a big Broadway person, you may not know these names, but they're actually like big names. And these were the same girls that I was like auditioning against, And so I was like, oh snap! Like I would sign my name on the, audition sheet, and then I would be sandwiched between these, Broadway stars, and I'm like, well, jig is up. Like, good luck for me. So yeah, I learned very early in college anyway, that I am actually not a great singer, and I should definitely stick to, straight drama. Or comedy, or horror, but anyway, I mean, I guess for someone who doesn't, if you don't know that I can sing, I probably impress you, and also edibles do help.
Well, I was gonna say, first off, from a trained ear, I thought she was amazing.
I was going to say, your watch party, I mean, I'm all for it, but it's not going to be the same without me belting next to you.
So that sounds like you're coming to our watch party then.
Oh.
That's how I interpreted that.
Hey, Naomi, I'll go if you go.
All right, I'll play.
You can come and go as you please. It's gonna be fun. We are setting up a donation link for. We don't know what the charity is yet, but we're gonna figure that out.
Donate to a shelter.
Well, I think he's talking the Twilight one.
Oh,
about the Twilight.
We're talking about the Cats one. Yeah, let's do the Cats one. We'll do a setup for a donation to a shelter.
Make it an animal shelter.
You know, do this. Make it in October. Because people always like do bad things to black cats or something, right? And we're talking about not doing it to black cats because it's fucking racist, right? And so we would do a whole showing of that. That'd be very great. No, I was gonna also say that Naomi is.
Oh no, we've gone so long without this.
Are we back on?
Oh,
yeah, we're good.
You missed it.
No. Naomi actually went to Northwestern, and which she's also
Wildcat.
Wow. Which is not telling USC beat the shit out of them in the Rose Bowl. But anyways, long story short, she's not telling you about all the amazing people she went to school with. I mean, like, isn't Zach Braff a class above you? And like,
he was my year. Seth Meyers was a year ahead.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
All right.
Yeah, that's what she was like, acting with and competing against or whatever. Those kinds of people. So she was, holding her own.
Zach Braff wasn't even a theater major. I remember being really pissed off when he got Scrubs because I was like, she's not even an actor. And little did I know you don't actually have to be an actor to get a sitcom. But he's an actor now, if he's watching, with Michael Bay, I'm sure. They're like quarantined in like a Corona bunker together, listening to this podcast.
Zach Braff. Who else is it? Jordan Peele.
Yeah, they're literally all quarantined together. It's awesome.
Here's a cool story. My mom went to, I think, Marilyn Manson. Brian Warner was a couple grades above her, a grade or two above her, but she has a book full of his original poetry and like artwork. Dude was creative since the beginning, before he was Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only cool connection I have to celebrity status.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Jeffrey Dahmer also go to that school?
Jeffrey Dahmer did not, but went to like pretty close by. Like anytime we were like going anywhere like 20 minutes out from where we lived, my mom would point out like, "Oh, Jeffrey Dahmer buried bodies right there."
This is in Ohio,
like,
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming out of Northeast Ohio where you're not allowed to go eat edibles at the movie theater yet. To my best knowledge. Unfortunately.
Canton, where Marilyn Manson is from and where I'm from originally, but now I live in Akron. But they have several dispensaries open now. So you are able to be
the whole state doesn't have a thing, it's just by county or something, or
at this point, yes. There's some counties that, so like Canton, Cleveland, and I think a couple other counties are legalized, but the whole state is not.
That's so weird because like if you just go across the county line, you're like, I ate one of these.
Nope.
I feel like I'm thinking this whole conversation so far off like the beaten path. Like I'm sure you guys have actual questions you want to ask us, and I feel terrible that I've
It's too late, Alok.
Honestly, this is how our episodes are. We have a very crude outline of how we want a show to go, but usually it's just however it goes.
Yeah. No, I this is what I actually look, because this is kind of my whole goal. It's like, let's just hang out with them. Let's just
shoot the shits. Just do, talk about whatever comes up. I think that's what makes the most interesting episode, is just talking about whatever and anything that comes to topic.
We came to promote 1BR, but cat sales are going to go through the roof.
Yes.
Let's get back on 1BR. Let's talk about how it's a better watch when you're on edibles.
It's not actually. I've never done it actually, to be honest. But
It's
I can't
more terrifying. It's more horrifying.
I think it'd be more paranoid and like freaked out. Like I don't think it'd be a good idea to do that. By the way, I've never done it, but but I'm sorry. I want to let you guys. I want to steer this back towards you and let you direct the ship. I feel like I've commandeered things to a horrible extent, talking about all this weird shit. Make it your show.
No, we love it.
Well, I was gonna say we're like almost an hour and a half in. Is anyone still listening or watching, other than maybe Michael Bay? Okay.
Michael Bay's a little upset. I think he's still watching. We do actually have a question coming from the chat. That was perfect timing, Naomi.
Okay.
Our buddy Nick in chat is curious. Do you suggest putting your film into as many festivals as possible?
Yeah, Alok did, and it worked.
Well, I will say this: it depends. It depends. The thing of it is that I came from a background of testing movies, so I knew what we had as far as we knew we were about this, and like all right, and we didn't have a distributor, we didn't have a sales agent, right? Which is something. The question's a great question, but I would really study that as well when you decide you want to be in a festival and you want to decide who we were going to go to, because they're the dirt merchants of this industry. I swear to God, Dark Sky is not in that list, by the way, but there's a lot of people that are like, oh, we can totally promise you'll get like $1 million and da-da-da. And like, they don't even deliver on 1/18th of that. And they get as much as they need to make their money back, and they leave you by the side of the road to die. So that's what I would tell you is that part of the industry, that when you go to festivals, that's what you're going to find. Those people want to buy your film. Now, should you go to a lot of festivals? Yes. If your movie is good, then yes. If you don't know what you have, ask me. I will tell you. Send your movie to me. I will let you know. No, but I have a lot of experience in this, but we also did test screenings of it to understand what it was. Because of that, we then kind of prepared sort of a festival sort of like trajectory where we wanted to be covered in like, the top like 25 genre festivals. We wanted to be in them, and we got into like, 14 of them, and being at these festivals where they have like nice press exposure and everything else helped the sort of word about 1BR get out there. Now, a lot of people would tell you, sales agents would tell you that this is not a good idea because you want to like be at like one or two big ones and then just open right after that. I disagree with that. I think it was actually good being in festivals, at least almost in every single, hopefully continent. We didn't get to Asia, by the way, sadly, but we got to France, to England. We got to Spain. We got to, what was it called? France again, and also even Eastern Europe. And America, we had our East Coast premiere, which is at Brooklyn. We had our West Coast premiere at Beyond Fest. And we had Canada, which was our world premiere at Fantasia, which is going on right now. Fantasia was amazing. If you can ever try to get into, this is like between Fantasia and Citrus, which are the two biggest genre festivals in the world. You want to premiere there if you can. And if you can't, I can tell you 10 other premieres you want to go to. And in fact, little known fact, and I'm actually giving this information for the first time, I think, publicly. Myself and a couple other really great filmmakers who've been around the world sort of on this festival tour we're helping write the Movie Maker magazine top 50 best genre festivals in the world article this year. It's because I went on this like tour of like 16 festivals, 18 festivals, whatever the fuck it was. And I went there because I had thankfully the money, because not all of them pay for anything. They're not, not everyone's the richest festival to do whatever. But if you make the point of going to the festival, that festival director will look at you as a friend, and you become friends with them. You do. I'm friends with all these people now. Like they're like,
you friends with people, Alok? I mean, who's the most?
I know,
ever.
But to the point, yeah, thank you. They become friends with you, and they're like, does it mean because you took me to dinner that I'm going to put your next shitty film you do into my festival? And I'm like, here's the thing. I tested movies. I'm going to make sure it's not a shitty film, right? So I have that friendship with all these different festivals now, right? So that was a good idea to go to these festivals. It's a good idea to be in these festivals. Like I said, your sales agent distributor is going to like have ideas about it. And the thing was, we met our sales agent distributor, at Fantasia. But we pussyfooted around, and we took other offers and to see what else was out there. But it was a thing where we wanted to go to the festivals we already got into. And Dark Sky actually was very polite. Even when we did sign with them, they were like, yeah, do that festival. And they actually brought us another festival, which I had never heard of. And Gerard May, it's called. Gerard May, as Americans would say. Gerard May. It's in France. It was the most amazing festival. It was up in the French Alps. They wined and dined us for every meal, like with crazy, like tasting menu kind of shit, like amazing stuff. To the point we had one meal that we didn't have. It was organized for us, and we didn't know what to do with ourselves. But we got to meet Rose Glass, who was an amazing film coming out called Saint Maud. You're gonna think it's amazing.
Need to see this movie. Need to see it.
We got to meet her. We got to meet the cats from Vivarium and from think about it, all these amazing films, and we're friends with them now, right? So it was an amazing experience going to all these festivals. And I would say absolutely, if you can, and if you have a good film. If you don't have a good film, if you have an okay film, then yeah, get into the biggest festival you can, and then release as soon as you can. I make no illusions that our film just very luckily turned out to be good, because there are so many things that can go wrong, right? And we everything we could in our experience and whatever else to make it good, and we got lucky, right? So if you do get a good film, there are so few good horror movies made every year. I'm going to tell you that, and that is a controversial statement. I'll tell you this, but it's a true statement. There are maybe 20 really good horror movies that come out every year. And all the effort that's going through to make a good movie and they don't turn out good. They don't. It's what it is. And at the end of the day, if you go to all these festivals and you make all these friends, and for the future of yourself, let's say, or a producer or a director, they're going to remember you. They're going to say, listen, I want to see what David Marmer is going to do next, right? So anything David Marmer does may be accepted in this film. We're friends with these people. It's going to be a thing. So I would suggest, if you have something you think is really great, then absolutely apply. Here's what I do. Apply to different festivals. You're not going to get in from just applying, by the way. You need to actually know somebody there, or know somebody who can know somebody there. We had to do the same thing. It's one of those things. You have to know somebody. And once you actually get into one really great festival, we got rejected like 20 times before we even got into Fantasia. And we weren't finished. That's the truth of it. We were not finished. And so they were seeing an unfinished piece of work. But we didn't want to miss the deadline for Sundance. But I'm going to wait another year for this, right? So we got rejected a ton. And like Seattle Film Festival, for example, watched us 28 times and wouldn't even answer a question after we got into other festivals that are smaller festivals. Can we premiere there or not? Or what are you thinking? They were like, oh, we'll get back to you. And they never got back to us. And they watched us fucking 27 times. And then their program was so shitty, by the way. I will shit on them all day long. And they were sending us stuff like, hey, you want to donate to our festival? After they fucking rejected us and didn't get back to us. I was like, fuck you, Seattle Film Festival. Anyway, it's the biggest film festival in North America. You think they would be better about this, right? Their whole lineup was so shitty and derivative. They just stole from other festivals. That's all they did. Their person who programs it should be fired. Anyway, the point of it being that we got into Fantasia. And because of Fantasia, everyone else then followed suit where they're like, oh my gosh, you have been accepted into the club now. You should come to our festival. We'll pay for you and blah, 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 blah. And we're like, yeah, maybe, but let's see about this other festival.
I gotta say, when I think of genre festivals, the first thing that comes to my mind is Fantasia. Whenever I hear of the next big genre piece, it's coming out of Fantasia. So
dude,
that's pretty big to premiere there.
Wretched, Come to Daddy, all these films premiered alongside of us. These are part of our sort of there are not fraternity but compatriots for this year. We're in this year's sort of version. We're all at the same festival. Other great film that came out of festivals we were at was the Russian film Why Don't You Just Die, right? This is a fantastic film. This guy is the Russian Tarantino. He is amazing, and he's a very nice guy. And they're shooting in Russia right now in his next film, which is, I can't even talk about it because I told him I wouldn't, but it's batshit crazy. So you go to as many festivals as you can. Answer the question. Go to as many festivals as you can. Make friends with everybody, filmmakers, producers, your hosts. We went to. I got to hold back what I'm saying because we've written an article about it. It's going to come out in October. And it's going to blow your mind. Instead of doing 25 to 30, which is what Movie Maker magazine usually does, I made them do a top 50. So we could be inclusive of the smaller festivals that don't get a lot of attention necessarily, right? And also be like really truthful about what the actual marketplace is as far as festivals. So you're going to love this article when it comes out. I promise you this. It's going to be really cool. And it's like, I mean, I'm on this journey, so why not do a little article about it? And I'm not getting paid for it, by the way. It's just I had an intellectual curiosity about it. I had I was at Sundance and I sat across. Just happened to get sat across. I was at my lawyer's dinner, David Pierce Company, but just that's a plug for them, I guess. I was sitting across the table from the editor and the publisher of Movie Maker magazine, and I was like, "Hey, listen, I want to tell you something. You guys do a shitty job every year, including what the best festivals are. Here's what you need to do." And then they came back to me like stupidly. I had to do this because I came back to me like, "Hey, you had some really amazing thoughts. Why don't you fucking write the article?" And I'm like,
Gotcha.
"All right." It did get me, and I was like, "We're gonna do it scientifically." And so I got this whole. You're gonna see. It's gonna be awesome. They love.
Where are people gonna be able to read that again?
Maker magazine. It's a very famous magazine that used to be like a print publication, which is still a print publication actually, but they've gone more online per se. It's like, Premiere magazine and stuff like that, but this was like the insider magazine for Hollywood, and it still is. But they're, like most things, it's more quarterly than it's like monthly, let's say. So yeah, it's look up the website. They actually did a really great podcast with us, and also article. They let me write the article where I talked about everything that went wrong on 1BR and stuff. So
and it is worth
it's always food related. It's always food related with this guy.
Can I go pee real quick?
Go for it.
Go pee, but you have to think really hard about the answer to what your
favorite
you gotta
think about this
is while you're gone.
All right, come back.
And then
I was going to say, can I go eat dinner real quick? I haven't eaten today.
1BLT's making you hungry.
It is. It's true. Well, I admit that's the intermittent fasting is something I'm not new to that. That's what I do, but it does mean that we are in my tiny little window in which I eat, and so I would normally be eating right now. My favorite snack or drink, was that really the question?
Your favorite, your top movie candy / snack.
Movie candy snack. Oh gosh. You know what? I mean, I'm an actress. Like, we're not supposed to eat. So that's like a terrible question, especially for me now, because I'm like, a steak, please? Like, I'm starving. No, I'm literally like the cheapest date. Like, I don't snack. That's my secret.
Only edibles at the Alamo Draft House?
Yeah, exactly.
Favorite movie snack is edibles. Well, let me say, first of all, no one will think any less of you if you would like to snack on screen. But second of all, if we need to let you go so you can go snack.
No. I mean, no. We're good.
Okay. But to that point, no one will think less of you eat on stream. We've all done it at this point.
I've eaten a full meal on stream. It's not out of the norm.
I mean, you know how it is. You're not supposed to like eat on a date. I definitely can't eat on a podcast. No.
When we talk about food so much, you almost have to sometimes.
Right? I'm dying for a BLT. Jimmy John's. I don't think we have Jimmy John's open right now. Maybe Postmates get it to you. Yeah, maybe.
Honestly, I've pitched this several times on this podcast. We need a cooking show on this network. As much as food comes up, just like a casual cooking show with some alcohol infused commentary might be a lovely show.
Well, we may have to, because at this point it's hijacking all our other shows that are not meant to be about food.
Right.
Now, Naomi, I do want to take the opportunity to ask, because I believe I heard you were working on a one-woman show. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, can you tell me about that?
Well,
if anything.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm taking like a tip from Alok, and he likes to say, "J.J. Abrams the shit out of you." So there's a lot of things I can't say, and there's a lot of things I don't know because no one knows anything. No one knows when we're going to be in theaters again or when networks are going to be buying stuff. I mean, who knows? But I do know what I can control, and that is this show I'm writing. It's autobiographical, and it's I would say it's kind of the third in the trifecta that is the story of Naomi Grossman. Because I have two others that I did prior. One is called Girl in Argentine Landscape, and it's all about my sort of coming of age story in Argentina. Then after that, I produced another show called Carnival Knowledge, which is kind of like Sex in the City, like different coast, crappier shoes. You know what I mean? It's sort of single girl looking for love in all the wrong places in Los Angeles. Story of my life. And now this third show, I mean, the fact is I'm still single, so I got more stories to say. But I also have, of course, like all these fun sort of American Horror Story fan-friendly anecdotes too. So I would say it will definitely satiate the fans of the show and of the genre. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. I don't, it's impossible to say when and where you'll be seeing it. I mean, the interesting thing about COVID though is that once upon a time my like dream of dreams was to sell it to one of these streaming networks, so that it would and have it like on Netflix or whatever as a one woman, one of these 1 hour specials. But the fact is, I'm sorry, somebody's texting me and I'm like, I can't hear them all. Okay, stop. I'm going to tell her to shut up.
The offers are coming through in real time.
I'm going to tell you about Naomi's show, Carnival Knowledge was hilarious. And it was like on LA Weekly's best thing you got to see, and like the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, and just hilarious. And one of the stories she has involves a guy in a chicken suit pulling up next to her and be like, "Hey, want to do it?" And like just like maybe.
Sorry. No, but sorry. The person that stopped texting me, I'm back.
No problem.
The fact is, my dream of dreams was to sell this to a streaming outlet as a 1 hour comedy special. And now that's almost looking more likely than it would me run out of theater and just produce it as a play. You know what I mean? That's what's kind of amazing about this time we're living in. So yeah, so that's my plan. That's my hope. I'm working diligently away at it. It's a slow process. But I'm pleased to say I'm finally at that point where I'm like really agonizing now over like or the, like I'm at that point in the process, which is exciting. It means I'm close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
On the subject of things you probably can't talk about, are we going to see you in American Horror Story next year?
Oh, I have no idea. I literally like. This goes back to what we were talking about before. Like actors are the last to know these things. I mean, I would say I knew in March that I was going to be coming back for Apocalypse, but I didn't even know it was Apocalypse until they were, well into shooting.
Yeah.
And then
Naomi, I have a question for you. Sorry, I've never heard that before. That's interesting to know. But did you know that you would be coming on as Pepper, or did they tell you they didn't?
No.
You didn't know you would be coming on as?
I didn't know anything. No, I assumed it wasn't Pepper because we played that out twice. But I mean, what I'm saying is I didn't even know it was set. It was Apocalypse was the theme. I knew nothing. I would say, it's funny. Well, and of course, you were asking me to come back for reshoots for 1BR, and I was like, I'm gonna be working on it. I don't think I said it though. I didn't say it, but I was like, I'm gonna be working on something.
You said I had something else I'm working on, and I knew immediately what it was, and then I was like, well, all right, so what are the D's we think we can get you? You know, that's
of course I wouldn't know that. I didn't know that. And in fact, I want to say, so they start like shooting in, or at least at the time in July. And it wasn't until like September that I actually worked. So here I was kind of like waiting any minute now, July, August, that's a while when you're, basically afraid to go out of town, afraid to turn off your phone, So anyway, but when I did get the call, even then it was like I only got the pages I was in, and the role was something other than the name that I got. It was like I don't even remember the name of her, but I Googled her, of course, right away. You do your research, and it turns out it was a real life Satanist from history. So I was so excited. I was like, oh my god! And of course, I'm like working like next week, so there's like very little time to like really prepare. But I watched everything there was to watch, and I was like trying to there wasn't much to see, so it was hard to like emulate her. But then I remember going to my fitting, which was literally like the day before I was to work, and I was talking about this character with the wardrobe people, and they're like, oh no, you're not playing her anymore. No. It turns out if you were her, like we need to fit you for prosthetics. Like you'd be much older than you are right now. Like she was like a real live Satanist from history, and so you'd be like 80 years old. Like we don't have time to turn you into an 80-year-old. So no, you're just like a random general Satanist. Which I was like, oh, okay. Which in a way was cool because it meant like pretty much anything I did would work. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't bound to like exactly what this, real life Satan. Like.
She said that famous "Hail Satan," and every time I would like then text her or do whatever, I was like, "Hail Satan."
I will say that I've seen every season of American Horror Story, and whenever you pop up on screen, it's a welcome surprise. I love every scene you've been in that series. And I'm in your corner for coming back. So if Brian Murphy is by chance watching this, which he's definitely not.
You know what? We're joking. But listen, we're joking about like the bunker and everything. But like that's how I came back the first time, is because of people like you. Like I said, there were enough people like inundating Twitter, hashtag Pepper for President, that I came back. Like they didn't see that. I'm sure of it. As much as I do believe like Ryan knows all things, like they're businessmen just like you are, Alok. Like they're watching the money. I was a great return on their investment. You know what I mean? They paid me nothing. They made $1 million. Like
I mean, even if it's not Pepper, with 1BR, your character is so like so inviting, but there's a sinister like aura behind the character where you don't know if you want to trust her or be afraid of her. And I think that's such a great performance of yours.
Thank
where
you.
I hope that you can come back as a character other than Pepper and turn out another great performance like you have in 1BR, because it's a great performance and
let them know.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are always telling me, and I'm like, you think I don't want a job? Like, yeah. So
and there's precedent for bringing back characters in different roles. So
well, I love the ensemble aspect of American Horror Story, and that's great that she got to be a Satanist, and she could be like, Kathy Bates been on that show like 50 times, obviously Oscar winner, blah blah blah. But like obviously she could be on the same way as far as part of the ensemble. However, Pepper's still alive. Last we heard, the aliens were with whatever. Whenever they chose to like maybe kind of like slant back to maybe a sci-fi horror thing, why doesn't she show up every day of the week? Like, she went from being like sort of like to being like, I am the puppet master. Like, she's a really great character in that regard. So she could be a very evil genius kind of person. It's still out there. It could be out there.
I think Pepper did die in 1960, whatever. Remember when Sister Jude, Jessica Lange, she was asking for Pepper in the office, and they were like, "Oh, Jude, Pepper died," and they pull out my file and they show her, and she has a total meltdown. So it's true, I did die, but you're right. There's a whole life we could definitely see what happened up with the aliens. I want to see that.
She allegedly died. She came back, to take those children to wherever it was and stuff.
Not only that, but when you die on Horror Story, so what? That actually means you have a longer life. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a kind of moment though. If you came back and you're like, damn, everyone would be like, damn. It would be all over every place. It really would be, because it's not only a beloved character, but it's also an interesting kind of plot device, I think, for him to almost bring the girl back from Melrose Place who died in a car accident or whatever. You know what I mean? It's one of those pivotal moments that could be so great.
So in other words, # put some pepper on it.
Put some pepper on it.
Yeah.
You gotta do a flare. Put some pepper on it. Boom. Put a guy that's the sprinkler of the salt or whatever. It's put some pepper on it. Boom.
Oh, the salt.
Yeah. We got a new one. It's like this.
Put some pepper on it.
Put some pepper
in it.
I kind of like it like a mic drop. Bam.
Maybe
honestly, I do like that.
I like it like you're spanking an ass. You're like,
put some pepper on it.
I would think you drop it from above, like a UFO is putting some pepper on it.
Oh, I like that.
Well, I feel like we're really shopping this. We're doing some good, figuring this out. We're workshopping this shit. Anyway,
This is it. It's classic test marketing. Live.
Yeah.
Naomi, how are you for time? Are you okay? Are you hungry? Or you got to go?
I'm okay. I got distracted by I'm okay. I'm okay. I mean,
you guys can back out whenever you want.
I'm good with whatever. I just want to be, cognizant of her time.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's a star, as they say.
Well, no.
Look at Russell Crowe, kind of a star, but not at all.
I just worry, I'm more about the audience. If people are if it's just Taylor's girlfriend, and 1BR's.
I haven't heard from her in a while. I think she went to sleep.
Oh, see, we lost even your one fan.
Connor, I thought you were going to bring your fiance in here to talk, to sit and talk to her for a second, because I think you should bring her in. She's your biggest fan, Naomi. You need to you should bring her in.
So Liv has never been on the show before.
This is the first time.
This would be groundbreaking.
Oh, come here.
Live and let live. Go ahead.
Get it trending.
This isn't racist. This isn't racist. This isn't.
I don't get it.
From the cats, racist cats.
Oh.
Yeah, this isn't racist. This isn't racist.
Not in any way that I can interpret yet.
What is Connor's? He just got engaged, by the way, Naomi. Connor just did.
Congratulations.
So I feel like this would be amazing for the fiance. Fiance.
Oh God.
Oh shit. It's for real.
Hi.
Hi.
Connor's fiance, Liv.
Liv.
Hi.
Hi. I've been watching in the other room.
Okay. Are you so bored?
No. It's actually the first one I've actually tuned into, because I knew you were going to be on it. So I was like, well, I actually have to watch this one, because I'm usually just on the couch listening.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching.
Of course.
Are you excited to marry this man?
I guess you could say that, yes.
Glowing review.
It'll be a good time.
Definitely. Naomi, or you guys, please ask Naomi questions.
You've been put on the spot.
Question.
I'm trying to think. You guys are in Ohio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you been to? Let's see.
My girlfriend woke up. She's here still. #1 fan.
Morning.
Good. Very
favorite
pretty. That photo's very nice. It's better than the other one she had.
Very pretty.
What are the closest horror cons to you guys?
Closest what?
Horror conventions?
Oh, I don't know. Do we have any horror conventions near us?
We should.
Oh yeah, I think the one that probably is the most acclaimed is called Cinema Wasteland.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. I've never been to that.
They kind of specialize in like retro stuff. They do like panels and things, obviously Q&As and stuff too, but they kind of specialize getting like older film, like printed, like 35 millimeter screenings and things like that. I've actually never been, and I don't know when I will be now because of this timeline we're living in. But
right, I know.
Yeah.
I'm looking on my Instagram right now. I was in Ohio last year at a really big one, a really great one.
You do like Wizard World? What was it?
I've done Wizard World, although I did it in St. Louis. But you're right, there is one in Ohio. Shoot. It'll pop up. Oh God, this is terrible. And now they're probably watching in that same bunker with Michael Bay, and they're like, "Really? You don't even remember us?"
Michael Bay, Jordan Peele, Robert Pattinson.
Oh my God, I wish we were in it.
I don't know about Little Angels.
Hey, look, I just gotta ask because I've been sitting back here doing producer stuff. How many drinks deep are you in, man?
I'm in 4 really strong drinks.
And Naomi, it's nice to meet you. Pleasure to have you on the network, the show. I loved 1BR. I actually am not an AHS fan, so I'm a little bit slipping back and for this.
Matt, why don't you stay in here and talk to us? I feel I miss you. We haven't seen you in a long time.
See, my shows are Real Talk, Spin from the Reel, and Saber Reels. This is Connor and Taylor's show, and they've been doing.
No, I know, but you're so great when you're in here as well.
I'm the president of this network.
Yeah,
I know.
He can do what he wants.
Someone to listen to us.
Yeah, I'm enjoying.
Really,
the show.
all of our guests are now, or all of our audience is now in the chat. So it's
Actually
sort of
no, because me watching doesn't count towards the audience score. So.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm the one who's I've been doing some of the behind the scenes question stuff and all that stuff. So.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's good.
But no, I rewatched 1BR today. I loved it even more. I know. Look, I remember the first time we brought you on. I was like, I actually didn't watch this, so I have nothing to add.
Aww.
And I just want to say,
let's be honest. Actually, the first time you guys were doing this, I just actually put you up on the Twitter feed first.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm just gonna come on and watch this myself because you guys are talking about the movie, and you guys are so sweet. Because I was like, just watching it. You guys are like, can we bring you on right now? And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So we did. And so we, in a weird sense of it, it was our first episode, and I became friends with them. And then I get an alert every time they're on for something or other, and I always like come on and say, "Hey, fuck yourself," or I do something weird. I just like, "Oh yeah, that movie's bullshit," or whatever. And I feel like I'm transforming into like Rick from Rick and Morty or whatever right now. Oh, fuck you, whatever. But I'm doing it with consistency, and they're like, "You guys need to come on again," and I'm like, "I'm gonna come on. I'm gonna bring the best one." Naomi Grossman.
You did.
You brought us our. I even said this in the private chat going on. You got.
It's very organic and very fun. I think. I mean, yeah. I'm entertained every time I say hi to you guys. You know, and also you guys are talking about cool shit that I want to talk about or listen to or whatever. You know, whether it's like that I bought his movie. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything bad about it. But the one dude I was talking to you about, Matt, was on with you one time. What's his name? He made something local. Yeah, local filmmaker. I forgot the name.
Johnny Woo.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been a very organic experience. I want to say this whole relationship that we all have, and I'm glad Naomi could meet you guys because she's amazing.
And I'm thankful she could come on. So for me, because we've been making big strides lately, and this is by far the biggest episode we've done. And look, you're probably like, oh, this isn't that big of an episode. To us, it is because
no. We listen. Every episode's a big episode for us. We bring our A game. I brought
You
shit
do.
about, vampires
Although,
and
you gotta schedule these, like, you gotta let me eat, because that's the only thing. Right now, I'm entering like a total like
Hangry
food
phase.
coma. Look, I'm really hangry.
all right.
Wait, by the way, no, I'm not getting off.
You could eat on the show. I would almost encourage.
I
Grab
can't.
food. Grab food. It doesn't
Like
matter.
I said, I've
I
eaten
can't let people
meal.
see me eat. By the way, that the horror convention that I mentioned that I was at last year that was amazing, which I don't know where you guys are in Ohio compared to Cincinnati, but I think it's worth the drive. It's called Horror Hound.
Oh,
amazing.
okay.
It's amazing. So, and it's a film festival too. So, yeah.
They do have a film festival actually. We looked into them, and who's a big supporter and a big writer, and we were in Horror Hound magazine, by the way, as well. Actually, one of the first public print publications we were ever in is our friend J.K. If you remember him, Naomi. He interviewed us at Fantasia, the whole crew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like you guys got to watch J.K. J.K. at Horror Happenings or whatever. He is to be studied. He is so expert at the questions he asks, how he asks them. He is almost like, I'm telling you, this guy's going to get a television show one day for sure.
Holding you hostage. For the audio listener, she's totally fine.
Yeah. Hold on. There is a question we missed that I know this is right up Alok's alley.
Yeah. Scariest ghost paranormal story, and I'll add alien story.
Or alien.
Because it is you, Alok.
Sorry. So, what's the last part of the question? I didn't hear it.
What
Or
is the
alien.
scariest ghost / paranormal or alien story? Since we
Or
do
alien. Alien, the ghost and paranormal are very different. So I'm gonna answer, ghost and paranormal, let's say. But there's so many. Rosemary's Baby for me is not it's not paranormal. It's not a ghost story. It's like more of a religion-based story. That scared me in the middle of the day.
Wait, but Alok, aren't we telling our actual ghost stories?
Yes, happened to you.
I've had nothing happen to me. I've had nothing ever happen to me. And the sad part of it is that I want something to happen to me. And I keep on like, look, here's the shirt I'm wearing today.
I love it.
I've had lots happen to me, but I am going to cook dinner if I'm going to continue this because I'm starting to like.
All right, you go cook dinner, and I'll tell you what I'm doing with like all paranormal stuff. My baby, I could surf and different things, and I have like this like skeleton on my my rash guard when I go in the pool every day. And it's a skeleton, and my baby and I do this thing. We're like skeleton, ha 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 ha. And then we're doing the same thing with the devil, right? Devil, ha 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 ha. And she does this every single time, right? And it's hilarious to me. And I'm trying to get her sort of used to the idea of like all the stuff that we're making, let's say, or want to make, or have relation to be something that's kind of like not real. Because I don't think, I believe in aliens fucking for sure, but I don't know that I believe in anything else as far as actually seeing the devil or seeing like a demon or whatever. I haven't had any proof of it in my life. I haven't had any proof of it in my life. Sorry,
Oh, is it my turn? I'm sorry.
You go.
I can't. I literally am about to black out. Okay. No.
You didn't cook at the same time.
I am. I have to tell you, my kitchen is haunted. Like I am literally cooking from a haunted kitchen. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Peter Lawford. He was formerly in the Rat Pack with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. Well, this is his last residence. I live in Peter Lawford's last place. And literally, he was found bleeding out right here. That is where he was found by his wife at the time. He was rushed to the hospital and died a week later. So yeah, I am literally podcasting from a haunted house right now. We've had
her apartment complex is called the Lawford.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Peter Lawford is like, watch Ocean's 11. He's like one of the main guys. He's also married to Kennedy, and that's the whole Kennedy like Frank Sinatra connection, actually.
Well, that was his real claim to fame in the Rat Pack, because he's kind of like known as sort of the, the least talented one. You know what I mean? Sorry, Peter. But they kept him around because he was the connection to the Kennedys, because he was married to Pat Kennedy, who was JFK's sister. So he was the brother in Lawford, and consequently, they were like connected to the White House that way. In any case, I have absolutely had paranormal experiences right here in this house. Two specifically. Now, one doesn't go over real well because it also happens to involve a microdose of acid.
What?
Which, yeah, I know. The minute I mention that, it's like all credibility out the window. But here's the thing. Like, Peter spoke to me that day. And let me tell you, I heard him loud and clear. Like, I don't know if you guys have done any research on, psychedelics and like ayahuasca and acid and LSD. And like, it's amazing. No, listen, I'm not saying everybody should go run out and do it. If anything, maybe stick to like some gummies and packs. But after that, if you like what you feel, I highly recommend, especially if you've like come home from war, or in my case, I was like still licking my wounds from truly like one of the worst breakups ever. I swear to God, 9 months in, if you're still like thinking about that person, like when you're basically your relationship, like I was licking my wounds like well after I needed to be. And yet I did this one day, I put this little tab on my tongue, and freaking, I'm not even kidding, 12 hours later, he was gone. Like eternal sunshine for the spotless mind. I kid you not. And that same night, Peter spoke to me. He was like, live your life. Like, enjoy my apartment. And I did. Like, I hadn't been. And you know what I mean? Like, you guys don't know me, but like, I party. I have a good time. And like, for those 9 months that I'd moved here, and that I was, it basically was like healing from this breakup, like the Naomi that like stars in her own like drunken yoga shows and like surfs down like hotel furniture, you know what I mean? Like life of the party was like basically dead. Like I was like dormant until that magical night. And then I swear to God, I've been like back ever since.
I've never heard that story before.
I've had a semi-alien encounter.
Oh,
Never actually encountered aliens.
I'm fascinated about this. I'm fascinated about it.
I was talking with a friend. This was when I was in high school. We were both sober because I was the DD and he was supposed to be the DD for somebody else, but they ended up going home with someone else. So we both drove home together, both sober. I've never told you this.
No.
We were driving home and we were in this neighborhood that we usually don't drive through. And we just saw a blue light shoot down from out of the sky. And this was like a clear night. The rest of the sky was black. It was just a tube of blue light that shot down out of the sky. We have no idea what it was. There was no mention of it on the news or anything like that or online. Just and it lasted for about a couple minutes until we got home, and then it just disappeared.
ooh.
And I'm convinced it was aliens, because I'm a firm believer, like Alok, that aliens are absolutely real, that they've been here, and it's been, we just don't know about it.
So, Connor, I got to ask you, is this what you were talking to Alok about at WatCon back in July?
No, we talked about Space Force.
Okay.
or the Pentagon releasing a study, or not a study, but a report saying that they had commandeered a outer world vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is this. I thought that for a long time that Trump and Fox News, for example, I watch them too, right? Because you got to watch them. They've been releasing stuff very slowly for the last couple of years about UFO stuff, right? And now the Pentagon or the Air Force had said, like, listen, this is stuff that we don't understand. We can't say that it's they're trying to demystify it to some extent. Like, oh, well, we don't know what it is, but we don't know what it is. So they've done that stuff. Then President Trump, he basically says that we need to have Space Force, right? A Space Force for what? I don't know. But like, it's all this kind of stuff that's been like kind of laid out to some extent. And who knows? My whole real conspiracy theory thing was that like right before the election or right after the election or maybe right before the election, there is an alien presence. President Trump's going to tell us about it. And basically, it's a reason for him to declare martial law. Maybe there's a false flag, sort of something or other, with like these aliens or this technology we have had, and then he's making it seem like there's something. Who knows? But he's going to tell us, like, oh, listen, all these other presidents knew about it. I'm the only one who tells you about it. What would you do if this came out like a week before the election? Would you postpone the election? Would you perhaps go through with the election and see what happens, or whatever else? It's an interesting sort of idea in some way. I don't know that I'm being completely. My fiction brain is on right now. It's a fiction brain, but yet it's based in reality. I don't know. I don't know what people would do. I think people would actually probably vote for him because he's like, I'm the only one who told you the truth, and everyone would be like, oh.
I mean, that would be the one thing he told the truth about then.
Let's be honest, that would be the cherry on top of 2020.
That would be the amazing cherry on top. Oh, Liz could be an alien.
Honestly,
I don't think I am. I might be.
I mean,
true. Sometimes I think she's too good to be true. So sometimes,
first off, if I'm looking at a skinny alien, if I'm looking at one of the Greys, Connor is one of the Greys in comparison to Liz. Let's just put it that way. Let's be honest, okay?
I'm a bald green gray.
She's shading him down into his true form of what he really is.
Connor, just let us stay here. Rock the peaks with me, buddy.
I'm doing it. I'm never growing my hair out again. I'm done hanging on to my hair. He buzzed it down for me, so this is my true form.
Well, I tell you, it looks very nice. It looks very nice. I told you look very Tyler Durden.
You did it, and that's a high compliment. That's a very high compliment.
Got Tyler Durden poster right there. So I'm a fan, Connor. I'm a fan of your work. I'm a fan of your
all
stuff.
I got is Star Wars poster, so I can't really do any of that.
Speaking of like cult movies, because Fight Club did not do well in the theaters. I'll propose this question to everyone. What's your favorite cult movie?
Blade Runner. Or Blade Runner 2049, either of those.
Favorite cult movie, you said?
Yeah, your
1BR.
Yeah.
That's been successful in my eyes, because you go on and you see how well it's doing in VOD.
Well, it's
I
funny.
thought you said cult movie. I'm sorry.
Oh, like cult classic.
Oh.
1BR could be a cult classic. Who knows? I would campaign it to be a cult classic.
It's tough to say for me. I feel like all my tastes sort of like run towards that whole like part of the space, let's call it, the genre space. But I love Basket Case. I think it's actually very like it's not talked about enough. Evil Dead. I think Evil Dead would probably be the one. I mean, if it's a cult classic.
No Rocky Horror love so far. I'm a little shocked.
Naomi talked about Rocky Horror earlier. I think we all look at that Necronomicon pillow. Love it.
I have a blanket back here. I have a poster in my closet. I'm Evil Dead to the core.
That's the only filmmaker I never met testing movies was Sam Raimi. Like for some reason, like either was a different studio that didn't use this at the time, or whatever, they were going to test Spider-Man or whatever it was, like, because they were afraid, the internet shit. But that's the one filmmaker I've never met. I've been just dying to meet one day. You know,
as we're talking about movies, you know, you're always coming in recommending stuff. I've kind of come to think of you as like a curator of horror movies. Now we got kind of the backstory with your festival tour, how you've got the access to all these movies. And last time you were here, you had mentioned that with Malevolent Films, you're looking to make those elevated horror stories. Those, I think, as you put it, thinking man's horror movies. What would you think of as the distinction between, you know, I guess if you had to say your standard horror movie versus your elevated horror movie, like what stories do you see?
Well, I'll tell you something right now. You're going to talk about anyways, I feel. But Dead Dicks, for example, right? Like Dead Dicks is an amazing film. Naomi, they premiered with us over at Fantasia as well, and these guys followed us, and we were all together on the same sort of festival tour, albeit. And it's a unique film in that it's basically about sort of mental health wrapped in a horror movie, sci-fi horror kind of idea, let's call it. And what's even more interesting about it is that the writer-directors of it are a husband and wife duo. Which I think, God, think about everything going in your life and then having to go to work with everyone you love, or, you know, sometimes you don't love, or you're fighting with, or you don't. What the fuck? How does this all come together? And it does. It just does. I mean, you guys saw the movie, right? I think you guys all saw it, right?
Yeah, I did not, unfortunately. I was busy rewatching Lovecraft Country like 4 times.
Always you, Matt. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, I watched your movie instead. I rented it for the 5th time.
Got it. All right.
Buy it, buddy. Just buy it.
You know, each time money's tight.
Buy the Blu-ray.
No. Listen. I'll get you to get them get you a free copy if you want. Whatever it is. Like,
hell yeah.
I mean, they'll give you a link to it. You know, I'm sure. Whatever. So we'll work that out. But you guys like that. You're going to talk about that movie in a second.
I just want to say Dead Dicks, I personally connected with, because I believe what he has is bipolar, because it talks about the mania and the depression and all of that. And as someone with bipolar, I connected with it a lot. He talks about, there's a whole monologue about, you know, trying to change who he is, and every version he comes up with is someone he doesn't like. And that whole monologue that he talks about is just, it hit home. That whole movie is fantastic, and portrayal of bipolar and the struggles of it, especially encased in a genre film, in a horror film. It's fantastic. Everything about that film I loved. Everything about the film I loved, and to have that aspect into it just drew me closer into the story and connecting with the characters.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm friends with Heston Horowitz, who is the lead guy in that film. Mm-hmm. Right. So we can get you him. We can get you. I mean, well, you know, not tonight, but
yeah.
Or I can text him real quick and find out. Like
how we do it on here. Yeah.
I mean, you know, but yeah, those are the kinds of films that are coming out that I think are really amazing, and you know, you should be taught and hopefully, like, you know giving some sort of good review to. I know that we were on the same show as them, so I wanted to mention that because I knew you guys were talking about them anyways and stuff. So
yeah, and thank you for recommending that film, because I for one reason or another, I really, you know, it's weird. I like to think I'm pretty in touch with what's going on in horror right now because we do the show every week, but still these little ones like fly under the radar and I don't catch them for whatever reason. So I truly hadn't caught it until your recommendation. And we fired up the trailer after one of the shows, and I was like, this looks nuts. We got to watch it. No pun intended with the Dead Dicks. But I was, as I messaged you, I didn't give it enough credit going into it. I was like, looks like a fun premise, original idea. Guy regenerates. He just wants to die. But really getting into the character of why somebody would just want to die, and kind of using it as an allegory for depression, and not even living with it, but being someone who lives with someone with depression and experiencing that and seeing it secondhand. I was really caught off guard by how smart and genuine that movie was. On top of also having this crazy, fun sci-fi premise to it.
Yeah,
I'm glad you liked it. I mean, it's a great film, and these guys are the sweetest people in the world. Like these guys took me for like soup dumplings in Montreal when I wasn't hanging out with anybody I knew, and they were just so sweet. Like they're nice people, and they deserve nice things. And also the producers, and we're trying to work with them on some other stuff too. The producers of the film. We're trying to do stuff with them as well. So it's like it's an interesting sort of like the synergy of things when you go to film festivals. Going back to that thought, right?
Yeah.
But listen. I feel like. Do you feel like we've said what we've said? Said everything we need to say, Naomi? And
well, I don't know. I stepped out. I'm starting to regain consciousness.
Naomi, I need to know what you're eating.
I feel like we have. For me too. I don't want to get too drunk tonight because my wife's going to be like mad about things. Kidding. I'm not kidding. No. What are you doing? What's going on there?
Well, I guess in my mind.
Leftover
wow.
little WatCon we had. WatCon.
I don't even know what that is, but I'm going to sing it with you, brother.
Because we are the Who Are They Network. Our buddy Chris turned the coin WatCon, like Watt Convention, even though it was just like the group of us that live in Ohio.
It's just us drinking bourbon in the backyard.
Yep, it was fun.
Okay. Naomi, you were going to say something, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think we already passed that moment where your wife is going to get mad. So I think at this point, it really doesn't matter. We might as well stay on forever and ever. Like I've already eaten in front of people, which is
yes.
You know what I mean?
Like curl up. I'll feel as long as they want us, but I feel like their show. I feel like they're. I mean, what's their show going to be? Is it going to be a 4-hour show?
No, it needs to have cut.
Hey,
they need to have cut.
Hold on. We did our first 3-hour broadcast for the show last week. I am more than happy to get that.
We didn't lose a single follower, and we were insane.
That's
Whatever
what
the saying, people like it.
Although we actually, your instincts are correct, but it needed to have happened an hour ago. That's all. That's what I'm saying. But that's okay.
All right, listen. How much time are we in now to break the record?
You don't see it's 2:20.
Okay, we need at least like 45 minutes.
You need
like
40 more minutes.
45 minutes. 45 minutes.
That's a lot. But can we
That's
do
a
it?
lot.
You want to do it?
We could talk. We could start talking Lovecraft Country because I do want to get your
with Dead Dicks. Wait. I do want to say I texted Taylor immediately after watching it, and I said, just simply, wow. Yeah, I was just blown away by the movie.
Sorry, BLT is up to you. Is up to you right there. The game.
We could start the Twilight watch along right now.
No.
Okay.
No. I booked a good guest for that. Officially booked. I ain't doing that.
You got Robert Pattinson?
I just want to say.
I'm gonna have to pee again.
I give it 5.
No. Alok, if you gotta pee, we gotta say goodbye.
I have to just for a second.
Very quick.
No.
Naomi, I also don't want you to feel beholden having to stay because of Alok's debauchery.
No, here's the thing. We're in quarantine. Like, I will have FOMO if you are carrying on without me. But yeah, I don't like to be I don't like you to see me like cooking dinner. Like,
no, I love it.
Fun.
Love it.
I want you to think that all I'm doing is like sitting by the pool, like reading scripts and popping bonbons. Like, the fact that you see that, like, stars, they cook their own dinner. You know, like, I don't want that. But I couldn't help it. It was either that or hang up.
Our audio listeners aren't seeing that. They're just hearing you talk, so don't worry about it.
We do have to ask, what did you make?
Oh.
Yeah.
I made some like a tuna steak with cauliflower.
Ooh.
Okay.
Delicious.
That was quick.
Well, you know, it's been defrosting for the 5 hours that we were on prior, so it was time. It was about to go bad, actually.
Well, we've kind of discussed that it was inevitable that somebody was going to cook a meal on the show. I never thought it would have been Naomi Grossman to be the first one.
I really did not think that.
You never thought it would me to be what?
You'd be the first one to cook a meal on the show.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, what you don't know is like I hadn't eaten today, and that's the thing. A local. Well, I guess it's probably because you guys are on the East Coast, or at least you're many hours ahead.
Yes.
Like this is, you know,
Hey, don't feel
I gotta eat by now, you know. But so I understand. Like, yeah.
I haven't eaten anything. I'm drinking my dinner right now.
Hey, you and me both, Alok. You and me both. I had literally a salad, and that's all I've had all day. And now I drink.
Isn't it? It's miserable.
I drink.
I cooked a good spaghetti sauce. Spaghetti sauce yesterday, and I'm eating that for like the last day or so. From scratch.
Ooh, who made it? Your wife or you?
No offense. I love my wife. My wife can't cook. Who knows this? Who knows me? It's one of those things. We know between each other, and you know. No offense taken to it. I don't mind saying that in public because it's the truth.
Hey,
but
it's the same way in my relationship. Don't worry about it.
You know what though? She's my sous chef. She cuts things for me. She cuts things up, and I'm like, all right, that's your job. And then I'm gonna like put everything together and become some sort of amazing alchemy is gonna happen with the sauce, and you know, it happens. I have one recipe I use all the time. That's all it is.
It's the complete opposite for us. I can cook maybe 2 meals, eggs and buffalo chicken mac and cheese. She'll come home and she'll cook like a gourmet meal.
Oh, so gourmet.
No, they're gourmet. Just off.
You know what happens though with cooking is that the more you do it, the more you understand it, right? So it's like playing a song on a let's say, right? So you know that you finally get to know the tune, right? And then you can improvise. And until you know the tune, though, don't try to fucking do anything, right? Because you're gonna fuck up that Thai dish, and I'm gonna eat for 4 days. It's disgusting, you know, or whatever. It's like
she'll just text me while she's at work, and she's like, "Can you take out the so and so?" And I'm like, "What the fuck is she gonna make?" And then she comes home and she makes something amazing, and I'll eat it for a few days, and it's fantastic.
Well, I mean, Naomi cooks for herself. Let's say, for example,
I don't cook, but I'm screwed.
You just did.
No, no, I literally turned on the stove where I had like a steak, like marinade, you know, just defrosting. No, I don't cook at all. Like this quarantine, like, but I have no choice.
You just said you had a steak, right?
Well,
Tuna steak is what she said.
Tuna steak.
Okay.
But still, you know.
But you put some like lime juice and a little bit of like lemon or whatever it is.
I just salted it.
That's it?
Yeah. I don't know how to do anything else.
You can literally just look up a recipe and make it more flavorful just based off of like ingredients to pour on it. Like
literally all you gotta do is add like garlic pepper and onion powder.
Yes, exactly. Like, those things are it's sort of like, you know, standbys are really great things to have. Like there's a bunch of different things you could do. I swear to God, this COVID thing, quarantine, you can literally learn to cook something. All you gotta do is this. To trap a man, apparently, as I've read this book. To trap a man, you need 3 really good dishes.
I know. No, that's why I'm single. I know. I don't cook.
Well,
I go to restaurants. I really excel at that. I'm really good at eating out.
Well, I'm just telling you, if you could just cook one dessert, one like main, and one like appetizer, and you just make those really good, it's a man trap. It's a man trap.
I mean,
even more than a vagina trap, it's a man trap.
I was gonna say I got another man trap.
I know, but I'm saying in addition to that man trap, there's another man trap. Like there's 2 man traps. There's a place my wife used to get her nails done. It's called Man Trap Nails.
Wait, that's
Did Matt freeze in the?
What?
I just got my face like that. I was in shock.
Man Tap Nails is the name of the place, by the way. It's in the place very close to my old house where Nipsey Hussle got shot in the head.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
I mean, R.I.P.
I don't mean to brag, but I'm pretty good at smoking and grilling because I learned from my dad, and these two actually had my.
I will say you made a mean burger.
I mean Beyond Burger even.
Yeah.
I'm yelling because I'm drunk.
Hey, Connor, I'm right there with you, and I only had one. So
Who would
hey,
get drunk on this show? Who would do
What are
that?
you drinking, Naomi?
Never.
I think it's every episode.
What are you drinking, Naomi?
Guaraná. Brazilian Guaraná.
Are you drinking beer or is that
No,
water?
soda.
I'm drinking Statesman whiskey.
It's
Connor's
still very
drinking
early for me. You know, I'm a much later person. So if I start drinking now, I'll be, whoo.
Why don't you start drinking now? I've been drinking for a long time.
I know. Because you're an alcoholic.
So
I
wait,
start about 10 o'clock,
Oh,
10:30.
shots fired. Oh, look, what exactly have you been drinking?
That's not true. It's true. But I'm just saying that, like, we'd all feel happy if you were drinking with us.
I know, but I have work to do.
This is peer
What are you
pressure.
doing?
Oh, no, it's not. Pause.
I'm
No, it's
getting a
not.
text from my agent, Alok. You think that you're the only person that calls me to ever do anything?
Is your agent telling you get the hell off the show?
Yeah, right?
You are ruining your career. Get off.
Right. No.
All right.
We're good. It's fine. Yeah, no. But that's why I looked, because I was like,
Well, sorry, go ahead.
If I may dare bring this closer to movies again, because there was a good question earlier. Jessica was saying, based off our discussion, she's going to watch Dead Dicks. What other films should you check out? Either you got any recommendations?
oh, it's just for me, though?
Both of you and Alok.
Okay. What other movie? Does it have to be horror or any movie?
Anything. This is not
Hmm.
strictly horror, so you can suggest anything.
I mean, like, of all films?
I think they're trying to say recent films. I think that's what
Recent
It
films.
doesn't have to be recent, just in general, because there might be movies that you've seen that we haven't.
Whatever's on your mind when you hear that question.
Well, I feel like Alok sees everything. I mean, everything. Whereas I see the movies that are at the Cineplex. You know what I mean? I mean, I do see sort of art house stuff. I mean, listen to me, like drinking my like Brazilian Guaraná. Like, I mean, but like to me, like the best acting of last year, and it pains me to say so because he was actually, I met him in person. He was a jerk. He was a dead dick to me. Was the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin.
What?
Ow.
He was horrible to me,
Really?
and that's why I'm like, oh, it hurts me so much that to me, like if I just wanted a master class in acting, I would watch Joker. But I don't think Alok liked that movie. You didn't like that movie.
I love the Joker, actually.
Oh,
Sorry.
really? Okay.
But I would tell you, if you want to know from me what I would recommend for you to see, I can tell you 100 movies.
That's true. He can.
Well, I mean, like if you have a Shudder subscription, Host is amazing. I mean, let's put it this way: I like it a lot. It's effective. It's 55-minute movie, which I think is nuts to consider a movie. But
You could put it an hour and 20, and it could have been just as effective, I believe. But it's so good.
I think they knew what they had with their limitations, and I think it's much higher rated than it should be because of it being filmed in COVID, and everyone's just like, "Oh my gosh, did this? It's an achievement!" And da-da-da. And so it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, which truthfully it shouldn't be, but it's very effective. And so, Shudder subscription, yes or no? Fuck yes. Okay. The other movie that's actually really interesting, that's also Shudder subscription wise, Imperio or whatever it's called. It's like an Indonesian horror movie. It's actually has a lot of really great moments. It's 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, I want to say, as well as there's one more I'm forgetting now. God damn it, what is it? It's top of my mind. I'll come up with it in a second. The other things that are really interesting are
Is it that Indonesian film where they're in the cabin?
yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
Imperio or something like that.
Yeah.
Hold on, look at the other one. Hold on.
But I mean, I don't know. I haven't been watching many movies lately either.
Been too busy podcasting.
I know, right?
I got a
Starving
question for you,
myself.
though. Are you going to check out Bill and Ted when it's on VOD next
Oh,
week?
100%. That looks so good.
I see Naomi shaking her head right there. No love for Bill and Ted, Naomi?
No.
Bill and Ted, something my father made me, not made me, but had me watch when I was younger on VHS. So this was a while ago. And so we watched both of them, and it's something I've loved since. And it's something that made me love Keanu Reeves. And ever since then, I've just been obsessed with Keanu Reeves. So I'll see anything with Keanu. I'll see anything Bill and Ted. So the fact that they're making a third Bill and Ted, as soon as that comes out on VOD, I'm renting it. I'll pay it.
Are you going to pay the $25 to buy it or the $20 to rent it? Because it's only $25 to buy.
I'll probably pay $25 to buy it. It's only $5.
I'm in the same boat. Honestly,
It's Keanu. It's Bill and Ted. It's got an emotional attachment to me, so I'll pay the extra $5 to own it and watch it.
One of my really good friends slept with him.
what?
I know.
Spill that tea. Tell me more.
What a lucky gal.
What's super amazing about it? Well, no, I don't want to say that. Listen,
Whoa.
She's up with Keanu? She's up with Keanu?
yeah. Who? What? I didn't say who.
You just said
You know-
him while we were talking about
No.
Keanu.
What I'm trying
Could have
to
been
say
any
is,
Keanu.
in this little friend group, most everyone is like an actress or a model or, like, could score a Keanu if they wanted, right? And of all those girls, the least assuming of any of them, like literally, like she's a photographer, like she's the most sort of just very lovely, sweet, all of those things, nothing negative to say, but like the least assuming of any of them. And she's like, oh yeah, I slept with Keanu Reeves. And she did.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of her.
And again,
Did you say it was good, or did you say it was like very zen, or what was it?
Yeah, it happened in Paris.
Of course it happened in Paris.
Paris.
Of course it
Well,
happened in
real gossip, really scared gossip.
Love that.
Yeah. No, I mean, she has his info. Like, I'm sure if she wanted to like stay in touch, she could, and who knows. But anyway, I just love that because I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I remember like my mom's best friend like kissed Elvis, and I was very excited about that for a while. But now that my own friend fucked Keanu, I'm like, mic drop. Like, you're never gonna beat that. You know what I mean?
Who can beat that?
No, no one.
Besides Indian Russell Crowe being hilarious.
We do have someone who has a question for both of you, and that's Chris Anthony Lopez. And I actually, earlier, he and I had this conversation. I suggested 1BR to him because Chris, and you can go look on our watch. We did a watch along for back-to-back nights. We did Midsommar one night, and then we did Pet Sematary the other night. And when we did Pet Sematary, there's a clip we have of him just screaming his head off, losing it. Just off.
I'm excited that there's somebody still watching. Wow.
I will say 1BR stressed me the fuck out.
Yes, it's stressful, but it wasn't the jump scares.
With stress comes fear.
Yes.
And I will say that about 1BR with the stress it brings on like that fear. That
dread.
Fear the dread. It definitely does that.
I agree. I think 1BR is great for a non-horror person.
Yes.
I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, my favorite horror movies are not your typical slasher at all. Like, my favorite horror movies are like Rosemary's Baby and The Shining and Clockwork Orange, and I mean, there's some really great foreign films. Like I said, I mean, I love Let the Right One In. The Orphanage, which was like a Spanish movie, like maybe 5-10 years ago. I don't know. I love all those like old like like Lon Chaney movies and like so I don't know. Like I said, I'm a weird one to ask because I have eclectic taste.
I'm liking your responses, though. I'm not even gonna lie, because you're going with some classics. So hey, good for you. Well, look, how about you?
Repeat the question again. I'm sorry, just real quick. Just 'cause it's been a long.
To piggyback off the last question, what are some good
All right. Okay.
For the non-horror person.
Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of interesting PG-13 film kind of shit out there that's like, the I don't is Paranormal Activity an R-rated film? I think it's PG-13 or whatever. Well, I mean, I feel like there's that kind of stuff that, how movies sort of like degrade to be like, they were scary before from one rating, but they're not as scary now from another rating, like in different times or whatever, I'd say, right? So it's like, Indiana Jones is PG-13. Indiana Jones Part 2 is PG-13, and now it's PG, So I think that the whole description changes as you go along through time. So, like, for example, Rosemary's Baby is a very scary movie, right? Yeah. Which I think at the time was considered more of an R, but PG-13 or a PG, if that, So that's one film that Naomi mentioned that I would mention as well. Hello. I have a baby that's coming to the room already.
I thought it was gonna be the gardener.
A naked baby. Hello. Hello.
There's baby on stream. Hello. Somebody's
what are you eating? I'm doing now. Okay. Well,
she knows it's tradition to eat on this show.
Hey, my love. My love. Sorry, my wife. I'm trying to call it to right now to get this baby. I'm sorry, this is become degraded, devolved into this.
Dude.
You want to see something? You want to see something really funny though?
Yeah.
That I show her skeletons and I show her the devil, and what we do together is what we do every day.
What is happening?
Is it devil? Do it again.
Awesome.
It doesn't scare her because she's gonna see Daddy wearing these shirts all the time is the thing, and so we have to take this baby away.
Have you taught her to say "Hail Satan" yet?
She has a little phone, and I tell her to say "Hi, devil" or "Hi, Satan." And go.
Being great. I want to see her say "Hello, Satan."
What's that?
I want her to say "Hello, Satan."
She can say "Hello, devil." She won't say "Hello, Satan."
Oh.
So, anyways, I think she's gonna take it away. By the way, sorry.
One movie I'll recommend for non-horror aficionados is the Fright Night remake with Colin Farrell.
Oh, I love that. That was actually the first horror movie I ever saw. I love it.
Once again, it's a remake that's just as good or better than the original. The Colin Farrell remake of Fright Night is fantastic. It's a lot of fun. There's some good scares. Overall, it's just a fun movie.
I can't get over the fact that this whole time Alok has been in a bed.
I know. I didn't realize that. I thought he was in a chair, like a dining room or something, and then I realized he's in a bed, and my mind like had an implode.
The funny thing about this place, everyone says this is like my shining wallpaper. So I think it's a funnier thing to be in, let's say. And I'm perfectly comfortable like laying down for like 2 hours at a time, just talking to people and drinking beer. Like, it's
drinking beer on your belly in bed.
California's king size bed, and who's here too, by the way, in addition to that.
What is that?
Well, that is what that is.
Oh, it's a dog.
That's Ripley, my German Shepherd, named after Ripley from Aliens.
Oh my god.
Look, I love you for that.
Welcome, Ripley.
I love you for that.
Come here. Say. Ah,
We're meeting the whole family.
yeah, exactly.
Can she say devil?
Hey, Deva.
She's beautiful.
Thank you. She's a nice lady. She's 9 years old, but she's very spry. You know. Anyway, so let's go back to the conversation. Is what is the movie that's not so scary? That's a scary movie. Here's the thing. If you are going to watch any movie that you want to be scared by, you have to be prepared to be scared to all levels. Not to say it's going to be gory or whatever else, but there's stuff that scares you in the daytime. I will tell you, there is a film critic right now that I think is the scariest film critic in the world. And he's just a guy in a clown mask or whatever, right? Have you guys heard of Bleeding Critic before?
Yes, I have.
Watch his review of our film. It's fucking creepy in the middle of the day. They have stories they do. It's amazing stuff. And I'm actually, he's like the Banksy of horror. I want to tell you this.
Really?
Yeah. No one knows who this guy is or whatever, but I know who this guy is. Anyway, I'm not saying we're trying to work on something with him, but who knows?
So I got a question regarding this question. Would you say Us falls under this category?
That you are the scariest people?
No. Us falls under the category of a horror movie that isn't really that scary. Because we've been trying to get Chris to watch it. And Chris is I just started.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely. I would tell you that. I mean, it's not overly gory or anything like that. It's more just the threat of what's going on that's scary about it. And it's not, absolutely. I would tell you, that fits under the category.
All right, cool. Because Chris agreed to a watch along of that, and Chris is actually afraid as hell to watch it because he thinks it's going to be the scariest thing he's ever seen.
No.
No, it won't be. It won't be. It will not be. 100%.
That was pretty smart.
He's also watching it along with friends, right? So you guys can talk about it and you can discuss it, and
he's also alone in his apartment while we're all at least within 45 minutes of each other.
So piggybacking off of that, watching horror movies with friends, I will say one of the scariest movies one of the scariest movies I've seen that I've watched with a friend is Strangers. It's more effective when I watch it with a friend than alone.
You think Strangers is scarier when you're with people?
I've never heard of this movie before.
Strangers? It's good.
Liv Tyler, it's a very good movie. They took forever to make a sequel for it, which is pretty ineffectual. The sequel was not great, but it was okay. I think the original film is a very scary film. You're asking me if it's worth it to see it with friends or without friends. Would it scarier to see it with friends or without friends?
With or without?
Obviously, by yourself, it's very scary. I mean, you'd be out of your mind. Your poor friend you should not do that for that poor guy. He's already sensitive enough, right? So then just don't put him through that. But if you watch it with friends, as most other movies, you'd be fine. Because I think you are having a communal experience and you feel safer with people, even though you feel and you also can share with people, even though it's all, happening together, let's say. You still feel scared but happier.
Look, I think you need to see how Chris reacted to watching a horror film.
Okay. Well, listen. I can't understand everyone's actions or their predilections to things because I don't know them, obviously. And if I could see it, I probably would understand it. But at the same time, he is probably very sensitive. I get it, right? He's probably very sensitive.
That's a movie I'd like to see is a movie of Chris watching a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of they have, you can watch video gamers play video games. I want to watch scaredy cats watch scary movies and cats.
I think Matt is gearing up to perhaps grant your wish.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now, actually.
Yeah.
Now, while we're talking about it, let me ask you guys, and again, I don't know if we're We mean to break.
I just want to know: are we breaking the record yet?
I was just about to say, I don't know if we're aiming to break that record, but we're about 14 minutes away from doing it. If that's our goal.
So close, Naomi. Can we do it or not?
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
can do it.
what's stopping us now? I mean,
I'm out of beer, but I'll, whatever. I'll just go for it.
I mean, I was gonna do something this weekend, but I don't have to.
You just want to keep going through tomorrow? We can. There's breaking the record, and then there's setting the new record.
Oh, God.
Really extreme.
Can I get another beer? Like,
No,
If you need to get another beer,
no more break.
I'm gonna take you with me.
Let's go make a meal while you're there.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna go out to the pool area, so my wife doesn't know I'm getting another beer. That's a pool. You can't see it.
This is the most interactive show thus far. Wow.
This is the best show ever, isn't it?
No, this is honestly my favorite show we've done on anything. Not even bullshitting. This is my favorite episode we've done on any of our shows.
it's still light there. It's pretty light there.
It is like
It's California, man. It stays light till almost 8:00 something. We're almost 8:00. It's 103 degrees outside right now. So
Fuck that.
yeah, it sucks today. I
horrible.
live in the valley. What's the problem with it? Yeah.
What we got? What have we found?
This is Ballast Point. Delicious.
Pufferfish on the cover?
Yeah, sort of. I think that's what it is.
So I'm sorry, Taylor. What was your question to everybody?
Oh, so yes, and Jessica mentioned in chat. She'd said that The Shining was one of the most stressful movies she'd ever watched with me. I was going to ask, if you had to pick one out, what is a movie that genuinely scared you, unsettled you, stuck with you, like a horror movie that after it was over, you still were feeling the effects of that movie? Like, what was really scared you for real?
I would say Hereditary. That was like the last one I can remember that I watched that I like sat there for a minute afterwards and was like, what just happened? Like it took me a minute to process that.
Did we lose Naomi? Did Naomi freeze up?
I think she froze up.
Oh no. Oh no. We're so close to breaking the record.
No.
What's this? We're getting a second, Naomi? What's going on? What's going on?
What just happened, you guys?
Alien.
Whoa!
It's us.
All right, we
What
fixed it.
happened?
We don't know it.
You guys
Just
got abducted.
We just met your doppelganger.
It was so
So-
weird.
We asked what was the movie that genuinely scared you. Olivia here said Hereditary. It really stuck with her even afterwards. She just sat there and was like, what the fuck just happened?
I haven't seen it, but wasn't that Midsummer was the same filmmaker?
Right there, yeah.
I love Midsummer. I know Alok thinks it's too long, but
Midsommar is fantastic. I
I
love
loved it.
it. And Hereditary. Both.
Midsummer, you see everything coming from a million miles away, and it takes a million years to get there. That's what I would tell you. And
So
whatever. But sorry.
it was weird and trippy and
Visually great.
Yeah.
Listen, the first 30, 40 minutes, you're into it. But here's the problem with it. I was in New Jersey, and I took basically an hour and a half worth of trains to get to the city to see the director's cut of that movie, right? And the director's cut of that
30
movie.
minutes longer.
What's that?
Which is like 20, 30 minutes longer.
Just 40 minutes longer. It's 2 hours and fucking 40 minutes that I can't
it's
get
still
back to my life.
shorter than this podcast, Alok.
Yeah.
Is it though? I feel like we
Yes.
started at 5, and now we're going on. We're almost there. We're almost
Yeah,
there.
we're almost
Yeah.
there. Which, by the way, I do have this clip of Chris pulled up. If you guys want to see why
We're gonna
he's
beat
asking.
Midsommar.
Yeah,
We're gonna
let's see
beat
it.
him.
So this is why Chris is asking about scary movies that aren't that scary.
Okay.
Chris, uncover your face. It's perfectly fine.
Can you hear my audio or no?
We hear
Oh.
yeah, we hear it.
He's over here in the corner. I didn't. Okay.
Just the sneeze.
I want to show that guy every scary movie in my life.
Show him Evil Dead. Show him Evil Dead, and
Oh,
he will
God.
change his mind.
So
You need to make a show. You need to make a show around that. Naomi is actually completely right about this. You need to make a show about that guy, and you need to get like two more of him you can find, and all three of them make a show about them, because it can't just be about one of them. It could be like 8 of them. I mean, literally, you can literally make a show about this. I mean, like, sell it to somebody. Like, you could. If you were, everybody filming it, whatever, and this and that. Reality shows. Everyone buys reality shows nowadays. Watching, like, 5 scaredy cats watch, or 10 scaredy cats watch a movie like that would be fucking on.
well,
Yeah.
Alok, you've seen the new Pet Sematary, right?
I thought it was terrible.
Yeah. It's not the greatest. It's a guilty pleasure film for me. I'm not gonna lie. I never saw the original, so I was basing it off of.
The original's the best. The original's so good. Sorry.
Hey,
Okay.
Connor and Taylor can both attest. I didn't start watching horror movies really until Get Out. So.
Okay. Fair enough.
But this is literally the scene where the little girl stabs Judd in the Achilles with that. That's what he was freaking out like that about.
I mean, that's a pretty decent thing to be offended by or praised by.
So what is the movie everybody has been genuinely terrified by?
Sorry, are we having sorry, the question was, are we on a PG-13 question or other question?
No, in general, this is just what's a movie that you've been terrified by genuinely.
Yeah, what movie? Where's the movie that scared you?
Angel Heart, I thought was amazing.
Angel
Alan Parker just died like 2 weeks ago. He did Pink Floyd The Wall. He also did The Commitments. That movie, it's an amazing film. If you've never seen that, you need to fucking watch that movie. But not a horror movie. But he did Angel Heart, which was starring Lisa Bonet, and got her pretty much fired off the Cosby Show because she did this like very sexual movie. And Mickey Rourke in his heyday was amazing, and like Mickey Rourke was a man's sexy actor, right? And it looks like some sort of like prostitute right now. I don't know, whatever. He's terrible. He's had so much plastic surgery done. It's weird, and I don't want to say the thing I was thinking of because it's very controversial. But he was great in Angel Heart, and Angel Heart's an amazing movie, and everyone needs to see it. Angel Heart, if they can, wherever they can, right now. Stop what you're doing and watch Angel Heart. It is such an amazing film. Is that the question I'm answering here, though, or I'm saying
It's what film is like.
What you need to see, right? What you need to see.
No, what scared you, Alok?
Like actually terrified you.
Sorry, everyone's talking at once. I couldn't. It broke up.
What is a movie that has genuinely scared or unsettled you at some point? It doesn't have to be a new movie. It can be any movie that, like, after it was over, you were like, I've been affected by that.
So going back to Angel Heart scared me so bad that at the very end of the movie, something happens, and I stopped watching the movie, and I was in my living room, and it was all dark, and I had to turn on all the lights and just sit there for like an hour, like talking to a friend. This is before the internet or whatever. Like, I was trying to like call a friend, and it was late at night, and I was like, I just was so fucked up from this movie. I can't go to bed right now, and I need to sleep with the lights on right now. I'm a grown ass, like, well, man, but I'm in college. I'm like a freshman in college. And I'm like, this fucked me up that bad. So that's the movie I would tell you in relation to what I was just saying. Other movies as in that kind of category, The Shining, 100%.
Yep.
That fucked me up so bad. Like, I don't know. And on some small level, like Devil's Advocate, for example, like, screwed me up a little bit when I was watching it. It was more towards the middle when the Charlize Theron has been raped and whatever else. That fucked me up. And What about you, Naomi? What did you think? I mean,
Well, we did a podcast not quite as long, but a couple of weeks ago, and the same question came up. What was the actually it was what was your first horror movie? But I will say, because it was my first, it was the most terrifying. And what's funny is I thought I was young. I would say like 8 or 10 years old. And I swear to God, I'm pretty sure this is like a Disney film. Like, it is not in the repertoire of like scary movies. But after I told him my film, Alok said, like, after the fact, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's a scary movie." And I'm like, "Oh, why didn't you stand up for me?" Because everybody was like laughing, like, "Oh my God, that's your scary movie? Really? That's what scared you?" But I mean, the fact is, yes, the movie that I saw when I was 8 years old at a slumber party that really affected me to the point where I literally like did not look in a mirror, nor did I venture into a wood, which was very hard because I was a young girl living in Colorado, surrounded by woods. Was this movie featured Disney called Watcher in the Woods?
Oh.
Anyway, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's literally like a G-rated movie, but it scared I was super scared by it, and so was Alok. So there.
Yeah, I was. I totally was. I mean, no, I mean, listen, there's a ton of stuff. I mean, if we talk about it, there's so many scary movies that are on some level, like if it's a Mask of the Red Death, I want to say that was another one that was like really disturbing. Creature features that I kind of saw, like independently of my parents being aware of that I was watching them. One of them in particular, that's just, it was funny. My cousin let us watch Revenge of the Nerds, and on the same videotape, because I'm an old person, it had "I Spit on Your Grave," "My Tuber," right? And he's like, listen, you can watch Revenge of the Nerds, but don't fucking watch two of these movies, let's say, right? And of course we did. And
right.
Watching Revenge of the Nerds, then also "I Spit on Your Grave." We should never watch "I Spit on Your Grave."
No.
We were like,
oh.
Like it kind of goes off in your brain where you're like, I wasn't meant to see that. I'm trying to process that. I don't understand what that's about. There's something that sort of corny because there's like I don't know, some girls having sex with somebody, but it's a rape. And you're like, I don't understand this. I can't process this. And like, And when my cousin found out we had watched the movies, he was so angry at us. Like, he was But, okay, "I Spit on Your Grave," another one of the disturbing movies that you shouldn't watch. I mean, as far as, to your question, that's another one.
Yeah.
Taylor, how about you?
We've gotten into it a little bit on the show before. I mean, obviously going back to movies that I watched as a kid, that's definitely, it's like a whole different realm, right? I've talked that Candyman, the original Candyman, I saw that when I was not ready for it. And it was one of those situations.
Even today, Candyman bugs me up.
Really?
Yeah. From the first scene where he gets summoned in, I was probably like 6 or 7 years old.
Oh.
Didn't even be watching it. Stayed up too late watching TV, and then was too scared to get up and go turn the TV off. So I was planted there and watched all of Candyman. I did the same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street. It just became like setting myself up for disaster as a kid.
How did you get a hold of Nightmare on Elm Street?
So we had locally, they don't do it anymore, but we had kind of like a horror movie host program called Big Chuck and Little John, kind of like equivalent to an Elvira or something like that. And they play these movies at night after the news was over. It's probably like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. They play these sort of midnight movies, a lot of times horror movies. And I must have changed the channel on purpose to go to that channel. I don't know, because I was watching the news as a child, but I would go back to that channel for some reason, and I guess out of curiosity, I wonder what they're showing tonight. And it was always something I didn't need to be watching, and I always paid the price for it. I remember also Critters. which is not a very scary movie. But as a child, I think it was whichever sequel DiCaprio's in. Little baby DiCaprio's in one of the
Critters 3.
sequels. Yes, I think it was Critters 3.
Yeah.
That one spooked me as a child. And
May I just say, this explains so much.
yeah. And Goosebumps, Haunted Mask Goosebumps.
Haunted Mask, yep.
Watching that through the blanket as a child, like can't stop, but can't look, And
It's again. So Naomi is so interesting because like she didn't. This is not any of her shit at all, right? But yet at the same time, she is in the shit now. Like this is like.
Yeah, like I partied with all those people, but I never actually saw those movies as a girl. Like when I was a child, like my parents were uber cultured to the point where like for example, I remember I missed out on what would have been my very first date because Jay Miller asked me to go see Wayne's World with him, and I couldn't because we had tickets to the symphony. And because Wayne's World, what is that? That sounds like trash. That'll corrupt your brain, right? I mean, basically television was like the boob tube, was, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I never watched anything, which of course is what prompted me probably to one day want to be a TV star. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I always tell parents, I'm like, let your kids watch television. Heaven forbid they grow up to be like me. But consequently, yeah, I never watched anything. I would see the Cosby Show and Family Ties. You know what I mean? That was my version of really being really rebelling. You know what I mean? That was me drinking and smoking. It was watching the facts of life, But yeah, he's absolutely right. I grew up in this bubble, never saw anything. It wasn't until now I literally go to these Comic-Cons and I party with all those people that I'm oh yeah, now I know.
Yeah, no,
The things I know about the Candyman made him not scary to me. Oh, and oh, sorry.
Can you tell us? Can you tell us? Okay, listen. I know we're all very quick to get off here. We're going to get off very soon. But
by the way, we broke the record. We broke the record.
Yes, we have broken the record.
We did it.
Success. Borat's a success. Anyway, I was going to say, I would like to hear one Candyman story if we can before we get off. Is there a Candyman story?
Real quick, I just want to say I'm in the same boat as Naomi, where my parents were very Christian conservatives. I wasn't allowed to watch even PG-13 movies. But my grandpa had this collection of VHS tapes that had 2-3 movies on each tape, and he had so many that he had to catalog them by number. Each VHS tape had a number and was cataloged in this book. And he was like, I don't care what your mom says, I'm going to show you all these movies. So I would stay weekends there, and we would have a weekend of Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, all these horror movies. Even went to Evil Dead, and just I can't remember the one with the wasps. These giant wasps terrorized this town. It was very low budget. It was a sci-fi movie, but he would show me all these horror movies. He would make me watch X-Files, the scariest X-Files episodes. So that's how I got into horror, and I watched them at an age I probably should not have watched them at it, but that's how I was just instantly terrified by Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th.
And that's how Connor Breedlove got here. We now know.
Real quick, my two are probably.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in my defense, I'm an excellent addition to any Trivial Pursuit game, because I mean truly, other people will know all the answers to all your Nightmare on Elm Street and Candyland questions, or Candyman rather. I know composers from 1600 to 1720. You know what I mean? I will kill it at all the shit that no one else knows. I know, but it's also funny because I don't know shit that everyone knows.
I like that though. I like that. That's cool, honest.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys. I think we should end this.
Most
Sadly,
likely, yeah.
I don't want to like get off, but I need to eat something myself, and also I'm being sick of my wife to help put this baby to bed. Apparently, so that's part of it too. But it's been so much fun, right?
Yeah,
You know,
and-
It really has.
every time we come on, like you guys are amazing. And, I have fun with you people, and Naomi, I hope you had fun too.
Oh, always. Yes. I'm sorry I got hungry in the middle.
No, you're
No.
fine. You're
But
fine.
Brilliant. Look,
my
I-
phone wouldn't
sorry.
allow me to hang up. I can't just no, couldn't do that.
I wouldn't have thought an iota less of either of you for leaving at any time. So the fact that you stayed on this long with us, gave us any of your time, let alone this much of it, broke the record with us, which is not, I would never have asked you to do that. So
Right.
thanks for doing
I
that.
love how Loke's just like, we're gonna break this record. What's your record, by the way?
Yeah. So
And it was literally 50 minutes away.
I had no expectation that we were actually going to do that. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for hanging out with us. This has been so much fun. This has been such a fantastic surprise and experience.
Thank you if you're still listening. If there's anyone still listening other than your fiance, even then, you may have just gotten broken up with and you don't know it.
Well, look, I do want to say, because we got so far away from it, guys, if you haven't seen 1BR yet, it's coming out August 23rd on Netflix. If you haven't caught it yet, you're missing out. Boot up Netflix on the 23rd and watch it. Let us know what you think. I mean, if you haven't heard us sing its praises enough on this show, you've now spent 3 hours plus with the fantastic Alok Mishra and Naomi Grossman. So you have to be charmed into watching it by now. You have no choice.
Chris even watch it. He said he's gonna watch it. So hey.
You literally could have watched 1BR 2 times in the time that you listen to this podcast. If
Yeah.
you haven't watched it, shame on you. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your life.
Wasting your time. Also watch it because it's fun. We're fun.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for coming on.
I was going to say, I'm about ready for another meal. We better get off. It's almost time for breakfast.
Yeah. Thank you. I hope we haven't scared you off from perhaps coming back one day.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Not at all.
We love you.
Wow. Thanks so much for having us.
Good night, my friends, and good night, viewers.
Good night.
Bye. You guys, I literally don't know how to say goodbye.